I'll pay back every dollar after I finish college. Annie called out as she ran along the red dirt road, clutching the charity food bag tightly against her chest. Sir, Mr. Reed, please stop. She kept running, pressing the bag of donated groceries against her body. Inside were rice, canned beans, cornmeal, a bar of soap, and a small bottle of cooking oil. The food might keep Annie and her mother going for several more days, but its weight dragged down her slender arms. One of the paper handles had nearly torn through. Annie had to hold the top of the bag closed with her elbow, terrified that one more hurried step would send everything spilling onto the road. Ahead of her, the black Chevrolet Suburban had already passed the weathered wooden sign outside New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. Its tires threw red dust into the air, coating Annie's worn shoes and faded blue dress. Still, she ran. Every breath burned inside her chest. Her legs were beginning to weaken beneath her, but she knew that if the vehicle disappeared from that road, the only opportunity that might change her life would disappear with it. Inside the SUV, Jonathan Reed heard her voice through the closed windows. He turned and looked through the rear window. Through the cloud of red dust, a young woman was running after the vehicle with a heavy paper bag in her arms. Stop the car, Jonathan said. Carl, his driver, glanced into the rearview mirror. Mr. Reed, we're already nearly 20 minutes behind schedule. You still have calls with the bank and the executive committee tonight. Jonathan kept his eyes on the young woman behind them. I said stop. His voice was not loud, but it was enough to end Carl's argument. The SUV slowed and pulled over. Annie reached it several seconds later. She stopped a short distance from the door and bent forward, struggling to catch her breath. Sweat mixed with the dust on her forehead. Her knees trembled, yet she still refused to place the food bag on the ground. Jonathan lowered the window. Are you all right? He asked. Was something missing from your family's assistance package? Annie quickly shook her head. No, sir. Did they forget the rice? No, sir. The canned food? No. Medicina? No, sir. The grocery voucher? We received it. Jonathan looked at the bag she was struggling to hold. Clothes? Personal supplies. Is there something urgent your family needs? After every question, Annie shook her head. No, sir. We received everything on the list. Carl glanced at the clock on the dashboard. Then you should let Mr. Reed leave. He has important matters waiting for him in Atlanta. Annie lowered her eyes. Her fingers tightened around the paper handle that was about to tear. A can of beans pressed against the weakened side, widening the rip. Please give me a few minutes, she said. I'll speak quickly. Jonathan studied her. Then why did you run after the car? Annie swallowed. Because what I need wasn't on any of the charity tables. Carl spoke before Jonathan could ask another question. The church office has forms for special assistance. You can come back and speak with Pastor Price on Monday. I'm not asking for special assistance, Annie replied. Then what do you want? Annie looked at Carl, then at Jonathan. Her eyes were filled with anxiety, as though she feared the window would rise and the vehicle would drive away if she hesitated for even a few more seconds. Please step outside and listen to me for a moment, she pleaded. I know you're busy. I know many people are waiting for you, but I may never have another chance to speak with you. Carl turned toward Jonathan. Sir, this is exactly how these things begin. One person keeps you for 5 minutes, and then someone else appears. Before long, the entire afternoon becomes a line of requests. Annie pulled the bag closer to her chest. I won't keep you long. Her voice grew softer. I only need you to hear everything before you decide. There was no demand in her words. No hint of calculation. Only the desperation of someone who had prepared for a long time for an opportunity that might last only a few minutes. Jonathan opened the door. Carl immediately turned around. Mr. Reed. 5 minutes. Jonathan stepped onto the road and buttoned his suit jacket. He had heard people ask for rent money, for jobs, for help paying their electric bills, for an old car so they could get to work. Jonathan did not look down on any of those requests. He understood that poverty could push people to a point where even dignity became a luxury. But he had never seen a young woman run after his vehicle with donated food in her arms, promising to repay the cost of an education he did not yet know she hoped to pursue. What's your name? He asked. Annie Brooks. Were you on today's food distribution list? Yes, sir. My mother and I registered for one package. We received everything we were approved for. Then tell me what you need. Annie looked back toward the church. Beneath the white tents, volunteers were folding tables and collecting empty cardboard boxes. Several pickup trucks slowly drove away with food packages secured in their beds. Annie's mother stood near the church steps. She held another grocery bag against her chest, her body leaning slightly because of back pain she had endured for years. She did not call Annie back, nor did she step forward to beg on her daughter's behalf. She simply stood there and watched. Her eyes held both hope and fear, like those of a mother who knew her child was placing her entire future in a few sentences spoken to a stranger. Annie lowered her voice. "I was accepted to Howard University." Jonathan paused. "Howard?" "Yes, sir." "What do you plan to study?" "Finance and business analytics." Jonathan studied her more closely. "That's an excellent school." "I know. Do you have your acceptance letter?" Annie nodded toward the old canvas purse hanging from her shoulder. She tried to shift the food bag onto one arm. The sudden weight dragged her arm downward. The paper handle made a faint ripping sound. Annie quickly supported the bottom with her elbow, then struggled to open the canvas purse. She removed a worn manila envelope. All four corners had softened and frayed. A strip of clear tape sealed one edge, evidence that it had been opened, read countless times, and carefully put away again. Annie handed it to Jonathan with both hands. Inside were her acceptance letter, her high school transcript, 2 scholarship notices, a bank loan rejection, and a page filled with figures written neatly in blue ink. Jonathan read the first page. His eyes stopped on the name Annie Brooks, then moved down to the transcript. "You graduated at the top of your class." "Yes, sir. You earned nearly perfect grades in every subject." Annie did not answer. She simply pressed her lips together, as though she feared that showing any pride might make her appear too arrogant to deserve help. "You received a partial scholarship," Jonathan said. "Yes, but there's still a large amount left." "Have you applied for federal financial aid?" "Yes, sir." "What about student loans?" Annie looked at the rejection letter in his hand. "The bank said my mother's income was too low. We don't own a house, land, or anything valuable enough to use as collateral. They also said I didn't have a strong enough credit history." Carl stepped out of the SUV. He shut the door harder than necessary, making Annie flinch. "Mr. Reed, we should be careful," Carl said. "She may know that asking for more food won't get your personal attention," so she prepared a different story. Annie's shoulders drew inward. Heat spread across her cheeks, but she did not step back. Jonathan raised his head. "That's enough, Carl. I'm only doing my job. I'm supposed to protect you. Then allow me to decide when I need protection." Carl lowered his voice, but every word was still loud enough for Annie to hear. "You've encountered this before. First, someone asks for one special opportunity. Then it becomes book money, housing, medical bills, and another relative who needs help. Stories like this never end with the first request." Annie looked down at her dust-covered shoes. Her arms tightened around the food bag until the paper crumpled beneath them. "I'm not lying," she said. Her voice was very quiet, but it did not tremble. Carl raised both hands. "I never said you were lying." Annie looked up. Her eyes were red, but not a single tear fell. "You didn't have to use the word." Jonathan watched her. He had seen many people react to humiliation. Some became angry. Some begged more desperately. Some immediately offered more painful details to prove that they deserved sympathy. Annie did none of those things. She simply stood a little straighter. Even though the food bag dragged down her arms and embarrassment burned across her face. Jonathan looked at the documents again. "What exactly are you asking me to do?" Annie drew a deep breath. She looked toward her mother. The woman still stood near the church steps, one hand quietly rubbing her aching back while the other held the groceries meant to last them through the week. Annie turned back. "I'm asking you to help pay my college tuition." Carl released a short laugh. It was not loud, but it was sharp enough to make Annie lower her eyes. "There it is," he said. Annie did not look at Carl. She began speaking more quickly, afraid she would lose her courage. "The money can be sent directly to Howard. I don't want cash. You can review every bill. I won't use a single dollar for food, rent, clothes, or anything else." She held the charity bag more tightly. "I'll work to cover those expenses myself. I can work at the library, the dining hall, the student support center, anywhere that will hire me. I'll continue applying for scholarships every year." Jonathan studied the handwritten page. Annie had listed the estimated tuition for every semester, the scholarship money she had already received, the number of hours she might work each week, the cost of books, the average starting salary in her chosen field after graduation. She had even created a monthly repayment schedule. Some calculations had been crossed out and rewritten. but every figure was clear. You prepared this yourself? Yes, sir. No one helped you? My math teacher checked 2 of the calculations. I did everything else. You're asking me to fund all 4 years. Annie looked directly at him. I'm asking for the chance to reach the end of the road. Her voice cracked slightly. Paying for 1 year won't save anything if I'm forced to leave before I can earn the degree. The food bag slipped from her elbow. Jonathan reached out to steady it, but Annie quickly pulled it back. You can put it down, he said. Annie shook her head. The road is dusty. My mother will use everything inside. Jonathan looked at the nearly broken paper handle. Then let me carry it. Annie hesitated, not because she believed he might take it from her, but because she seemed too accustomed to carrying every burden by herself. At last, she slowly handed him the bag. The billionaire stood in the middle of a red dirt road holding a struggling family's donated groceries. It was heavier than he expected. Annie rubbed the red marks the paper handles had left across her fingers and continued. My mother works at the food processing plant outside town. She takes every extra shift they offer. Some weeks, she barely gets a day off. She looked toward the church. Her back has hurt for years, but she breaks her pain pills in half so they'll last longer. When the electric bill goes up, she turns off the heat early. When we're short on rent, she tells me she isn't hungry so I can have her portion. Annie's voice grew softer. My father died before I started high school. He didn't leave any life insurance. We don't have grandparents, aunts, or uncles who can help us with this much money. Jonathan looked at the mother in the distance. She stood very straight, as though she were using the last of her strength to keep anyone from seeing how much pain she was in. Does she know you ran after me? Yes. Did she agree to let you ask me for money? Annie was silent for a moment. She didn't want me to ask. Why? She said we had already received food. She was afraid people would think we were ungrateful. Jonathan turned back to Annie. Then why did you run after me? Her eyes began to fill. Because having enough food for 1 week doesn't mean we'll escape this life. Her words were so soft they nearly disappeared into the dust. I know this food matters. My mother and I will have dinner tonight. But next week, we'll still be sitting down to calculate every bill. Next month, she'll still go to work with an injured back. Next year, we may still be standing in another line, waiting for another bag like this one. Annie lifted her head. I'm grateful for what you gave us today, but I don't want to spend my entire life being grateful because someone helped us survive 1 week at a time. Jonathan said nothing. For years, his foundation had provided millions of meals. Those numbers looked impressive in the annual reports. But standing before Annie, he was forced to confront an uncomfortable truth for the first time. A bag of rice could keep a family from going hungry, but by itself, it could not change the reason that family was always one step away from having nothing. Why did you choose finance? He asked. Annie looked at the bank rejection letter. Because people like my mother work very hard and still lose money in ways they don't understand. For example, late fees, high interest rates, overdraft charges, contracts with fine print no one explains. She looked down at her hands. One time, my mother was charged the same fee for 5 months. She believed she had no choice but to pay it. When I called the bank, they told me she only had to change one setting on her account to make the charge stop. Annie gave a faint smile, but there was no joy in it. 5 months of those fees cost us almost 2 weeks of groceries. Jonathan remained silent. I want to understand how money works, Annie continued, before it decides the rest of my life. She looked up at him. I want to know why some people are given a bridge while others are told the river is their fault. Carl checked his watch again. Mr. Reed, the bank call begins in less than an hour. Jonathan raised one hand. Carl fell silent. What happens if you fail? Jonathan asked. Annie answered immediately. I'll study harder. What if you become exhausted? I'll rest long enough to continue. What if the program is more difficult than you expect? I'll find a tutor. I'll study the material again. I won't use difficulty as an excuse to waste your money. What if you become lonely? The question stopped her. Perhaps she had prepared herself for every question about grades, money, and responsibility. But she had not prepared for that one. She looked toward her mother. I'm used to it. Those 3 simple words caused something to tighten inside Jonathan's chest. He looked again at her nearly perfect transcript. The numbers did not reveal that Annie had studied beneath the kitchen light while her mother worked the night shift. They did not reveal that she had sometimes gone to school in shoes that leaked when it rained. They did not reveal that she had completed her college application on an old computer that frequently shut down without warning. They did not reveal that when the acceptance letter arrived, Annie and her mother had held each other and cried before placing it back inside the envelope because they had no idea how to afford the future it promised. "After I pay your tuition, what else do you expect from me?" Jonathan asked. "Nothing." He raised an eyebrow. Annie immediately shook her head. "No, that isn't true." "Then what else do you want?" "I want you to give me the chance to prove that choosing me was not a mistake." Jonathan carefully folded the documents. "You understand that Howard's tuition is a substantial amount?" "Yes. It isn't a debt you can repay in a few months." "I know. It may take years." "Then I'll work for years." "And you still promise to repay it?" Annie nodded. Her eyes were filled with tears, but her voice was steadier than it had been at any other moment. "When I finish college, I'll pay you back." She drew a breath and fought to keep the tears from falling. Every dollar. Jonathan had spent most of his life meeting people who needed money simply to survive until the end of the month. He had never blamed them. Hunger did not give people time to make long-term plans. Illness had no respect for dignity. An overdue bill could turn tomorrow into a luxury. But the young woman standing before him was not asking to be rescued for one more week. Annie was asking for the chance to make sure she would never have to stand on this road again. She carried a bag of donated food for the present, while keeping an old envelope containing her future close to her heart. Carl stepped forward. "Mr. Reed, please think carefully. A moving story can still be a strategy." Annie turned toward him. This time, she did not lower her head. "Then verify everything I've said." Carl said nothing. "Call my high school. Call Howard. Call the bank. Speak to my teachers, my principal, and my mother's supervisor." Annie's voice remained soft, but every word was clear. "I'm not asking Mr. Reed to believe me because I'm poor." She looked directly at Jonathan. "I'm asking him to look at what I've done." Jonathan studied the young woman before him. Her dress had been repaired with thread that did not match the fabric. Her shoes had been carefully cleaned, but the toes had worn thin. Red marks crossed both palms where the paper handles had cut into her skin. She had no property to offer as collateral, no father to call, no relatives who could afford to help. The only things Annie could place before him were her achievements, a handwritten plan, and her own promise. Jonathan looked toward the church. The last families were leaving with enough food to carry them through a short period of time. Then he glanced toward the waiting SUV, where calls involving millions of dollars continued to appear on the screen. 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, he said. Annie went still. "Sir? Be at the church at 9. Bring your mother. Bring income records, bills, scholarship letters, financial aid information, and every bank document you have." Annie stared at him, afraid to understand his words too hopefully. "If everything you've told me is accurate," Jonathan continued, "we'll have a serious discussion about your tuition." Annie's lips trembled. She covered her mouth with one hand, but she could not stop a broken breath from escaping. Carl shook his head. "You're encouraging this kind of behavior." Jonathan turned toward him. "No." His voice was calm, but his gaze had hardened. "I'm finding out whether we spend too much money helping people survive and too little time listening when they tell us how they hope to escape." Carl did not respond. Jonathan placed every document back inside the envelope and handed it to Annie. She accepted it with both hands, as carefully as though he were returning the most valuable thing she had ever possessed. "Thank you, Mr. Reed. I haven't agreed to pay your tuition. I know. I've only agreed to review your situation." "Yes, sir." Jonathan studied her. "Then why are you thanking me?" Annie looked down at the grocery bag in his hands. One paper handle had torn away completely. She supported the bottom, and Jonathan slowly returned it to her. Annie held both the food and the envelope against her chest. One might help her and her mother survive the days immediately ahead. The other might open a longer road beyond them. She looked at Jonathan. At last, a tear slipped down her dust-covered face. "Because you stopped the car." Jonathan did not answer immediately. He watched the exhausted young woman walk back toward the church. Annie's mother hurried down the steps to meet her. When Annie reached her, the woman placed her grocery bag on the ground and wrapped both arms around her daughter. Annie whispered something into her mother's ear. The woman's knees buckled. She covered her mouth as tears spilled down her face, yet she continued shaking her head, as though she did not dare believe in a hope so large. Annie held her more tightly. The worn envelope remained clutched in one hand. Jonathan stood beside the SUV and silently watched the mother and daughter on the red dirt road. Carl opened the door for him. "Do you really believe she'll repay you?" Jonathan did not get into the vehicle immediately. He waited until Annie and her mother had passed the old wooden sign, one of them carrying the donated groceries while the other held the envelope against her heart. "I don't know," he said. Then he looked toward the charity tables being folded away. But of everyone I met today, that girl was the only one who asked me for something that might ensure her family never had to stand in this line again. At exactly 8:45 the next morning, Annie sat beside her mother in the fellowship hall of New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. On the worn wooden table between them lay a cardboard folder with frayed corners. Evelyn wore the cleanest white blouse she owned, though the collar had yellowed after years of use. She had ironed her black work pants the night before. Her shoes were old, but she had polished the leather so carefully that it nearly concealed the small cracks around the toes. Annie had prepared everything she possibly could. She placed her acceptance letter on top, followed by the tuition statement, scholarship notices, the bank's loan rejection, her high school transcript, the family income records, and a repayment plan written across 3 full pages in small, careful handwriting. She had worked on that plan until nearly 2 in the morning. Whenever the numbers failed to add up, Annie erased them and started again. The final calculations still could not guarantee that she would
Here you
live
go now.
comfortably
Drink
through
this.
4 years of college, but at least
And
they
make sure
showed
you
that
have
she
a
had
biscuit,
considered every
sweetie.
dollar she
It'll
had
help
to
settle
earn,
your stomach.
every debt she would have to repay, and every hour
Mama,
of
I'm
work
just
she
not
might
hungry
fit
right
between
now.
classes.
You need to keep your
Pastor
strength up,
Samuel
child.
Price
Eat
stood
this
near the kitchen
biscuit.
counter, pouring coffee into paper cups. You two should eat something. I'm not hungry, Annie replied. Evelyn pushed a butter biscuit toward her daughter. You have eaten cold bread after a night shift. Don't tell me you suddenly can't manage one biscuit today. Annie broke off a small piece. She lifted it toward her mouth but held it between her fingertips instead. Her throat felt so tight that even a sip of water might have made her choke. Whenever a vehicle passed along the road in front of the church, Annie turned sharply toward the window. Evelyn noticed but said nothing. She placed her calloused hand on her daughter's knee. Those fingers had worked on a packaging line for nearly 11 years. They had been cut by blades, crushed beneath heavy boxes, and swollen
Don't you
countless
lower
times
your
from
head when
standing
you
too
speak.
long. That morning,
I am
they
not
trembled.
ashamed.
Do not lower your head when you speak to them, Evelyn said.
I am not
Annie
ashamed.
looked at her mother. I'm not
Never
ashamed.
sound
Then
apologetic
don't let
for
them
wanting
think
an
you're
education.
apologizing for wanting an education. Annie tightened
I
her
fear the
fingers around
wealthy
the piece of
visitor may
biscuit.
change his
I'm
mind.
only afraid he'll change his mind.
You earned
Evelyn
university
remained
admission
silent for a moment
yourself.
before answering. Even if he does,
No one
he
can
will
take
still
away
be
the
girl who
university
earned
place
way
her
into
daughter
Howard on her
earned.
own. No one can take that
Without
away from
tuition,
you.
it remains
But without
only
the money,
paper.
The acceptance letter is only a piece of paper. Evelyn turned away. She pretended to adjust the strap of her purse so Annie would not see the tears gathering in her eyes. At exactly 9, a black Chevrolet Suburban entered the church parking lot. Annie immediately sprang to her feet. The chair scraped hard against the floor, producing a sharp, unpleasant sound. She quickly sat back down. Jonathan Reed stepped
Are you
out of the
certain this is
vehicle
the
with
appropriate
Carl,
location
his
for this
driver,
discussion?
and Richard Sloan,
The optics are
the
difficult.
longtime financial
The location
advisor
is
to the Grace
precisely the
Reed
point, Harold.
Foundation. Jonathan carried a dark brown leather briefcase. Richard walked beside him empty-handed, wearing an expression that made Annie feel as though he had already decided the meeting was a mistake before.
Good morning,
it had
gentlemen.
begun.
We are
Pastor
honored to
Samuel
have
went
you visit
open
us
the door.
today.
Good
Thank you,
morning,
Pastor.
Mr.
It's a
Reed.
pleasure to be
Good
here.
morning, Pastor. Jonathan removed his hat before entering.
Good morning,
He
Mrs.
greeted Evelyn first and shook her hand.
I appreciate
Mrs.
you
Brooks,
taking the time to speak
Mr.
with me.
Reed.
Sir,
She held her back straight.
With
and
all due
struggled to keep her
respect, we
voice
must
steady.
insist on a fair
Annie
hearing.
noticed that her mother was gripping her
My daughter is a
inexpensive
good
purse
girl.
so tightly that her knuckles pressed against the skin. Jonathan sat across from Annie. Richard chose the chair beside him. Carl remained near the exit.
Were all the
discreetly checking
documents
his
brought?
watch. Jonathan placed the leather briefcase beside his feet. Did you bring all the documents? Yes,
I
sir.
understand, sir.
Annie pushed the folder toward him.
Here
Her
are the
nerves
documents
caused
for
her
your
to use
review.
more force than necessary. It slid across the table and nearly struck Jonathan's
Oh,
coffee
I am
cup.
so
I'm
sorry. I didn't mean to.
Jonathan
It's
caught
quite
it.
all right. No
It's
harm
all
done.
right. He opened the folder and examined every document. Unlike Richard, Jonathan did not skim through them merely for appearance's sake. He studied each figure, compared the scholarship
The
amount
scholarship
with the
covers
tuition
$20,000,
statement,
but the
checked
tuition is
enrollment
$35,000.
date,
What about
and
the
then
student loan
paused
we
at the
applied
bank's
for?
rejection
I'm
letter.
sorry, the bank
Your mother
rejected
is
the
listed as
application.
the co-signer on
As
this
the
loan
co-signer,
application.
we considered
Yes,
your
sir.
mother's income.
Why did the bank reject
Can
it?
you explain
Annie
why the
looked down
bank
at the hands
ultimately
resting in her
refused the
lap.
loan?
They said my mother's income wasn't
Her
stable
mother's
enough.
income was
We also
considered
don't own anything
unstable,
valuable
and the
enough to
family
use
owns
as
nothing
collateral.
valuable enough
Jonathan
for
turned to
collateral.
Evelyn. How long have you worked at Delta Harvest
I have
Foods?
worked at the food
Almost
processing
11
plant
years.
for almost 11
Full-time?
years, but
Most weeks.
reduced
But when
orders
there are fewer
often cut my
orders,
weekly
they cut our
hours.
Some
Some months I only work 3 days a
3
week.
days a week. Richard pulled the
And yet
household
your
income
medical
statement from the
expenses are
folder.
consistently
You
high.
also have medical expenses.
So will the
Evelyn
medical
immediately
expenses
stiffened.
continue at this
That's
rate?
correct.
I told you, we can
Will these
manage just
expenses
fine. We don't
continue?
need help.
I can manage
But
them.
the doctor said you
Annie
have to
turned
rest,
toward her.
Mom.
Mama,
We just want to
the
help you with
doctor
the
said.
medical bills.
I
We
said
are
I can
not
manage
discussing
them.
this right now.
Evelyn's voice came out sharper than
I
she
said I am
intended.
fine.
A moment later, she briefly closed her eyes.
I
as
have
though
no
regretting
intention
the
of
way she had
judging
spoken
how
to
you
her
provide
daughter.
for your family.
Jonathan lowered the paper.
There are options
Mrs.
we can
Brooks,
explore
I
together.
have no intention of judging how you
I want to be
provide for
clear,
your family.
Reverend. I did not send
know.
my child here to beg.
Evelyn looked
We do
directly
not
at him.
accept charity.
But I don't want
Mother,
you thinking I sent my
that's
daughter
not
here
what
to
this
ask
is.
for money on my behalf.
I ran after
She
the
didn't,
vehicle myself
Annie
before
said
it got away.
quickly.
I had
I
to.
ran after your car
You did
on my
what?
own. Evelyn turned
You never
toward her
told me
daughter,
this.
And you didn't tell me beforehand.
I didn't tell you because I
I
knew
knew you
you'd
would
stop
stop
me.
me.
I've been
I
planning
would have
this
asked
for
whether you
3
had thought it
years.
through.
3 years.
I've been
Do
thinking
you have
about this
any
for 3
idea how
years.
dangerous this
But
is?
you are still my daughter.
Her daughter
Evelyn's
is still
voice
her
softened.
child, and
You
that
cannot
placing
place
an
your future
entire
on a
future
table in
before a
front of
stranger naturally
and expect
frightens
me
her.
not to be frightened. Annie pressed her lips together. She knew her mother was not angry because she had asked for help. Evelyn was hurting because she could not give her daughter what she needed.
I understand
Jonathan
your
closed the
position
folder for a few
completely.
seconds.
This
Mrs.
decision
Brooks is
carries
right.
weight for
A
everyone
decision like
involved,
this will affect
and we
both
must
of you.
proceed carefully.
Annie clasped her hands tightly.
I don't want you signing
I
another
understand.
loan, Mama.
That's why I
You've
don't want
already
my mother
worked hard
signing another
enough.
loan. She has already worked hard enough.
But I...
Evelyn looked
Mama,
at her daughter.
I know you.
Annie, I
You would
know
just
you could
work
force
yourself
yourself
even
to do
more, and I
more.
can't let that happen.
Annie's eyes reddened.
I
But don't want
refuse
my
to fund my
education paid
education
for
through
with
extra shifts that leave you
stand straight
unable
when
to
you
stand
come home.
straight after work.
Evelyn turned her face away. Pastor Samuel
This
silently
plan
placed a cup
relies
of
on
water in front of
significant
her.
income.
Richard picked up Annie's
Do you
repayment plan.
intend to work
You intend
during
to
college?
work while attending school? Yes, sir.
I've
What
applied
kind of
for the
work?
library
I've
assistant
applied
role,
for positions
the
at Howard's
administrative
library,
opening,
administrative
and 3
offices,
different student
and
support
student support
positions.
center. Have you
But
been
have you
hired?
actually been hired?
Not yet.
And what if
happens
every
all
campus
3 reject
application
you?
is rejected?
I'll find work off campus.
Then I will find work
Waiting
elsewhere.
tables, if necessary.
We have waiting tables,
Cleaning, if
cleaning,
someone hires me.
and the
Working
night shift.
shifts.
I'll do it.
Annie hesitated, but eventually nodded. If I have no
My
other
daughter
choice,
will not attend
Evelyn
classes
brought her
all
hand
day
down
and
firmly
work
on the
until
table.
morning.
You will not
Please,
attend
I can
classes all
manage
day
the
and then work
workload if I
until
just
morning.
explain.
Mama, I'm only answering
I was
his
only
question.
answering the question.
You're talking as though your health is
You
the
are
first
treating your
expense you
own
can cut.
health like the
Richard
first
continued
expense you
studying
can
the plan.
eliminate.
You also intend to
Do you
pay
really
for
expect to
housing,
cover
food,
housing, food, books, and transportation without any
asking
additional
Mr.
help?
Reed for
We were
assistance?
hoping to manage,
Yes.
but it is very
Why?
tight.
Because I only asked
I only
for
asked
tuition.
for the tuition.
Those other expenses
I
are
intend to
also
work
part
to
of
cover
attending
every
college,
other
But I
expense.
can work to cover them. Richard tapped one finger
The
against her
plan
handwritten
survives only
calculations.
if everything
This plan will
happens
survive
exactly
only if
as
everything
predicted.
happens
No.
exactly as you expect. Annie raised her head. No,
The
sir.
plan will survive
Richard
because
looked at
I
her.
will
It will
refuse to
survive
quit
if I
whenever
refuse
something
to
goes
quit
wrong.
whenever something goes
What
wrong.
happens if
What
work
if working
damages your
affects
grades?
I'll reduce my
I would
hours.
reduce my work
Then how
hours
will
to
you
protect
afford to
my
live?
grades.
Annie fell silent. That question
How
had
would
no
you then
answer in the
afford to
3
live?
pages she had written. It had no answer during the nights she lay on her narrow bed listening to her mother cough in the kitchen because Evelyn did not want her daughter to know the pain had returned. I don't
I'm
know
sorry,
yet,
but I don't know
Annie
the answer
admitted.
yet.
Richard turned toward Jonathan, his expression suggesting that the meeting should end there. Annie saw it. She took a deep breath and continued.
Not
But
knowing
not knowing
today
doesn't mean I won't
does
know
not
tomorrow.
mean I will not
I
know
have lived
tomorrow.
for 18 years without ever having enough
18
money to
years
make
without
anything
enough
easy.
money never stopped
still
her from
finished
finishing
school.
school
I still
or
graduated
graduating
at the top
first
of
in
my
her
class.
class.
I still applied to college by myself.
I
Her voice trembled.
completed
but
my
she did not
college
look away.
application
If I
alone.
wait until life gives me a plan without any risk, I
Waiting
will
for a
never leave this
risk-free
town.
plan would trap me
Carl
in this
spoke
town
quietly from
forever.
near the exit.
Sir.
Mr. Reed still has a
Your
flight
afternoon
this
flight
afternoon.
is scheduled soon.
Jonathan did not look at him. He opened the leather briefcase beside his feet. Inside was a typed agreement held neatly together with a silver clip. He placed it on the table.
This
but kept
agreement
one
is
hand
not
on
yet
the first
final.
page.
We
This is
still
not
have
the
some
final
details
version,
to
he
discuss
said.
before we can move
Before
forward.
we discuss the terms,
What exactly
I
would
wanna
we
know what
receive
you
in
believe I
return?
will receive
I
in
will
return.
repay the money,
Annie
sir,
answered.
every
The
last
money I
cent.
repay. That is only money. She paused.
Repayment is
Jonathan
only
studied
money.
her carefully. I want to know what
What
this
would your
decision
decision produce
beyond
beyond
the money.
dollars?
Annie looked at the acceptance letter inside the folder. A
He
small
will
crease
receive
marked
proof
its lower corner
that his
because she
faith
had
was not
unfolded it and read
placed
it
in
so
the
many
wrong
times.
person.
You will receive proof that you did
Do you
not
promise
place your
success?
faith in the wrong person. Are you promising
No
that
one
you
can
will
guarantee
succeed?
that.
No one can
Then
promise
what can you
that
promise?
with certainty. Then what are you promising?
I will not
Annie
waste
slowly
this
placed both
opportunity.
hands on the table.
I will
promise I
begin
will
by
not waste the
studying,
opportunity.
even when exhausted.
I will study when I'm tired.
I promise to
I
work
will
while
work
others
while other
rest.
people rest.
I will
I
ask questions when
I don't
confused,
understand,
and I will
stand up
rise again
when I
after
fail,
failure.
and never use my
I vow
circumstances
never
as
to
an
use
excuse
hardship
to
as an
quit.
excuse to
She
quit.
looked directly at Jonathan.
But I cannot promise that
promise
life will deliver
give
the
me
outcome I
result
want. I promise I will not stop trying before success has a chance to arrive.
This
Jonathan nodded.
is the answer
That
I
is the
wanted.
answer I wanted. Richard
The agreement
immediately turned toward
bypasses
him.
foundation
Jonathan,
procedure,
this agreement
review
does not
board,
follow any of
and
the
formal
foundation's
risk
procedures.
assessment.
We have no review board, no risk
No one
assessment,
knows what she
and
will
no
do
way of
during
knowing
4
what she
years
will
of
do
college.
over the next 4 years.
No one can know what
knows
any
a
young person will become.
in 4 years, Pastor
The
Samuel
formal
said.
selection
That
systems
is
are
why
designed to
organizations have
evaluate
selection
everyone
systems.
equally.
But
Annie
which
turned toward
system has
Richard.
ever
But
truly
which
evaluated
system
me?
has actually evaluated me?
It
Richard
reviewed
frowned.
only her
The bank
mother's
reviewed your
wages
application.
and the house the
They
family
reviewed my
does not
mother's
own.
wages. They reviewed the house we don't own.
The bank reviewed
reviewed the
collateral the
assets we
family
cannot
cannot
offer as
offer.
collateral.
Her voice begins
Annie's
breaking
voice
as she
began to break.
recalls nights
No one
spent
asked how
studying
many
after
nights I
working
stayed
at the
awake
store.
studying after working
Even
at
without the
store.
bus fare,
No
I
one
made
asked
it to
how many
school
times I
every
walked to
day.
school because I didn't have bus
My
fare.
grades prove
No
how
one asked
hard
why
I
my
fought to
grades
be
never
here.
dropped, even on days when there was only enough food
My
in our
grades
home for
never
one person.
fell, even when
Evelyn
the
lowered her
home
head
had
and covered
food
her
for
mouth
only
with
one
hand.
person.
Annie saw her, but she did not stop.
The bank never
did not
rejected
reject
my ability because it never
they
examined
looked
it.
at it.
It rejected everything
They
my
rejected
family
the things
lacks.
my family does not have.
Her statement
If
took
Annie's
immense
courage and
courage,
determination
a reminder
touched
of
your
the
heart,
dignity
please
found
like
even
this
in
video.
struggle.
Tell us in the comments
Now it
where
is
you
up
are
to
watching
us to
from,
answer her
and
call.
subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories. No one spoke. Even Richard could not immediately find an answer. Annie placed her palm on the folder.
I am
Mr.
not
Reed,
asking
I'm
anyone
not
to
asking you
deny
to
the
pretend
risk,
there is no risk
only
in
to
helping me.
examine what I
I'm
have
only asking
already
you to look at
achieved
what I have
with
already
almost
accomplished
nothing.
with almost nothing,
How far she
and then
might
ask
go
yourself how
if
far
given
I might
enough
go
tuition
just
to walk
once.
through
I were
university
given enough
gates
tuition
just
to walk through the
once.
gates of a university. Jonathan watched
What
her
happens
for a
if she
long
gets
time.
sick?
Evelyn pulled the agreement
Does the
toward
scholarship
herself,
still
but did
cover
not
her
open it yet.
education? We have
What happens
provisions
if she
for that.
becomes ill? The repayments will pause.
Repayments would
Jonathan
pause
replied.
during
What if
illness,
she has to
and
leave
no
school?
penalty would
There will be
apply
no
if
penalty for
circumstances forced her
beyond
to leave
control.
school.
What if she changes
I
her
was wondering
major?
about the
She
clause
is free to
regarding changing
choose,
her major.
provided
She
that
may
she
choose
remains
freely,
enrolled and
provided
completes
she
the degree
remains
program.
enrolled and completes a
Richard
degree.
turned sharply toward Jonathan.
Have the
You
lawyers
already
drafted
had
the
your lawyers
agreement
draft
yet?
this? I asked
Yes,
them to prepare
it was prepared last night,
Before
and I verified
verifying
the
her
story.
I verified it.
Did you actually
Annie looked
contact
up.
the schools?
You
Yes,
called the school?
both institutions
Both her
were
high
called.
school and Howard.
The acceptance letter
The
is
acceptance letter
genuine.
is genuine.
The transcript and scholarship amounts are
The
accurate.
scholarship amounts are correct.
And the pastor here
Pastor
answered
Price
all
also
of our
answered
questions
several
about the young
questions about
woman.
you. Pastor
I
Samuel
only
lifted
reported
his
what I
coffee
knew.
cup. I only told
Explain
them what
exactly
I knew.
what you
Richard
said.
asked. And what did you tell them? Pastor Samuel looked at
The
Annie.
young woman
I
never
told
asked
them
the
she has
church to
never
pay a
asked the church
personal
to pay a
bill
bill for her.
and continued
When her
working
mother became
extra
ill,
hours when her
she
mother
worked extra
became
hours,
ill.
but continued tutoring
I
young
still
children
tutor the
for
young
free
children every Wednesday.
evening. told
I
them she
admit I can exhaust
herself,
myself,
that she can
and
be
I'm often
stubborn,
too stubborn
and that
to accept
sometimes she
help.
is too proud to
I have
accept
never
help.
seen the
He
young
paused,
woman
but I have never
abandon
seen Annie
anything
abandon something
simply
merely
because
difficult.
it became
Evelyn lowered her
difficult.
face. A tear fell onto
The
the back of
tuition
her head.
payments will be sent
Jonathan
directly
pushed
to the
agreement toward
university.
the two women. All tuition payments would be sent directly to Howard University.
The contract
Annie would be
requires an
required
official
to submit an
transcript
official
after every
transcript after
semester
each
and
semester.
forbids the company
Reed
or
Continental and
foundation
the
from
Grace
forcing
Reed
the student to
Foundation
work
could
for
not
them,
require her to work
preventing
for them,
forced publicity,
participate in
press
promotional
appearances, or
activities,
fundraising
speak to the
campaigns,
press,
and use of her
appear in
image requires
fundraising
written
campaigns,
consent.
or allow them to
The
use
agreement
her image
states
without her
repayment
consent.
begins only after
Repayment would
graduation
begin
and
only after
stable
Annie
employment,
graduated and
with no
secured
interest
stable
accumulating
employment.
while she
No
studies.
interest would accumulate while she was studying. Evelyn read every line so slowly that Richard began to grow impatient. She did not overlook a single period. There
Does
is no
this
clause
bind her to the
requiring
company?
to work for your company?
Or allow
No.
reporters
No
near our
reporters
home.
coming to our home?
No,
No.
neither is
You will not
required.
turn my daughter into
So
an
will she be turned
advertisement to
into an
prove that your
advertisement
foundation is
or
generous?
forced to speak about
Jonathan
being
looked at
poor?
her.
Only
No.
the young woman may
No
choose to
speeches
tell
about
her
how
own
poor
story.
She once was.
You've
Only if
placed
she
every
chooses to tell that
obligation on
story
this
herself.
side. It's completely
Richard spoke.
unbalanced.
You are
The
placing
terms are
every
necessary
obligation
for
on
the
your side.
long-term stability
Jonathan
of the
turned
fund.
toward him. Paying her
Paying
tuition does not
tuition
give
gives
me
me
the
no
right
right
to
to purchase
her
your
voice
future,
or her gratitude.
voice,
Annie read
or
the agreement
gratitude.
once. Then she returned to
The agreement
beginning
states no
and read it
interest,
again.
but I must
When she
insist
reached the
that
section
interest is
concerning
included in the
interest,
repayment.
she looked up.
We believe
There
in
should be
equal
interest.
responsibility.
Jonathan raised
This
an
money could have
eyebrow.
been utilized
Why?
elsewhere over the
Because you
past
could
4
use that money
years.
for
I
something else
understand,
during
but
those 4 years.
this is not a
This is not
commercial
a commercial
loan.
loan. But I said
I promised I would repay it.
You can keep your
I
promise
intend to
without
keep that
placing another
promise.
burden
You
on
can
yourself.
honor that promise
Richard
without
leaned
taking
back in
on
his
an
chair.
additional
If she
burden
wants
right
to be
now.
treated as a borrower
If you want
rather than a
borrower
grant
status, we'll need to
recipient,
add a reasonable interest rate after graduation.
An interest rate.
Evelyn
We
turned
discussed a
toward him.
grant,
You
not a
seem
loan
determined
shark
to make
agreement.
sure this girl
You
pays
want her to pay dearly simply because she found the courage to ask for help.
That is
I want her
not
to
what I
understand
said.
the consequences
We
of
just
her
need to follow the
signature.
procedures.
She understands the consequences
My daughter
of having
understands
no
the
money better than
consequences of
anyone
having
sitting
no
at this
money better
table.
than anyone at
Richard
this
fell
table.
silent. Annie
I
lowered
still
the
want
agreement.
interest.
I still want interest added.
You do not
Jonathan
need to
looked at
turn
her.
your promise
You do
into
not need to turn
punishment
your
merely
promise
to
into a
protect your
punishment to
pride.
protect your pride. I'm not doing that. Annie
I
slowly
want to
shook her
return
head.
one day,
I
meet
only
your
want to know
eyes,
that when I return
and truthfully
one day,
say I repaid
I can look you in
everything
the
I
eye
once
and say I
requested.
repaid everything I once asked from you.
A
Pastor
good
Samuel
promise
placed
should
both
help
hands
someone
on the
move
table.
forward,
A good promise
rather
should
than
help a person
bind her
move
feet.
forward. It should not bind her feet.
I propose the
Annie
standard
considered his words
savings
for a
rate,
moment.
beginning
Then used the
only
standard
after I
savings
secure
rate.
stable
It should
employment
begin only after I
post-graduation.
graduate and find a job. Jonathan nodded. Agreed. He removed a silver fountain pen from his coat pocket and placed it beside the agreement. Annie picked it up. 2 small initials were engraved near the clip. God,
What do the
Anna.
initials stand for?
Jonathan looked at the pen. Grace Reed. My
Those
wife.
initials belong
Annie
to my
gently
late
set it
wife.
down. I can use another pen.
We can certainly use
Why?
another pen, but
Because
this one seems very
important.
important.
She used that pen to sign the documents establishing
My
the
wife
education
used this
foundation.
pen
Annie
to
looked at
establish
him.
the Education
Jonathan
Foundation.
pushed the pen back toward her. If she were still alive, she would want you to
My
use it
late
today.
wife would want
For the
you to
first
use
time
the
since
pen.
Jonathan arrived, the guarded expression on his face softened. Annie realized that behind his wealth and authority was a loss that money had never been
Read
able
the
to
final
repair.
page again,
Evelyn
carefully.
placed a hand on her daughter's wrist. Read the last page again. Annie read every line. Her eyes moved slowly, but by the time she reached the bottom, the small print had blurred behind her tears. She blinked, wiped her cheek.
You do not
and
have to
picked up the
sign
pen.
if you are
You
not
don't
ready.
have to sign if you aren't ready, Evelyn said. Annie looked at her mother.
Refusing
If I
to
don't
sign this leaves me behind a
I'll be
checkout
standing
counter
behind
next
the
week,
checkout
while
counter
university
next week,
enrollment
watching
passes
enrollment
without
day
me.
pass me by. I don't want you to believe
University
this
is not the only path to a good life. I
don't.
understand,
Annie
but this
squeezed her
door
mother's
is
hand.
open now.
But this door is open now. I don't want
I
to spend the
cannot
rest
spend
of
my
life
life wondering what might have
happened
happened
I
if
became
fear
afraid
made me
today
turn away.
and turned away. Evelyn
Sign.
forced a smile. Then sign it. Annie lowered the nib to the paper. Her hand trembled so badly that the first stroke went crooked. She stopped, took a deep breath, and then wrote her full name in silver ink. Annie Brooks. Jonathan signed beneath it. For several seconds, the only sounds in the fellowship hall were the rain
Thank you
striking
so
the awning
much.
and
Don't
Evelyn's
thank me yet.
restrained breathing. Annie set the
College
pen
will
down
test you in
gently.
ways you can't
Thank you.
expect.
Jonathan closed the
College will
agreement.
confront you
Do
with
not
things
thank me
no
too soon.
transcript records,
College will test you with
including
things that
people who
never
may
appear on
claim
a
that
transcript.
receiving help
I
makes you
know.
less
You will
deserving.
meet people who believe that
I
receiving
already
help
told you
makes
I will
less
not listen to
deserving
what
than
those
they
people are saying.
I won't listen to them.
But
You may
fatigue
listen
has a
on
way
day
of
when
letting
you
those
are
words
tired.
slip into your
Annie
mind.
shook her head.
I will
won't
never
believe
believe
them.
those voices.
Evelyn gently stroked her daughter's hand. You might
Everyone
believe them
doubts
for a
herself
moment.
sometimes.
Everyone doubts herself sometimes. Jonathan nodded.
An opportunity
Your mother is
only
right.
opens a
When that
door.
day comes,
The student
remember
must
that an
still
opportunity
choose to
only
walk
opens the
through it.
door. You are the one
She
who
must wake
up
every morning, walk through the open door, and
Annie held
complete the
tightly to her
work.
copy of the agreement. When I finish my studies,
I will repay
I'll
you
pay
after my
back.
studies.
Jonathan stood.
Do not return carrying
with
only a check.
Annie looked up at
What
him.
else?
What else should I bring?
Bring
the
proof that
opportunity
today's
you received
opportunity
today
did not end
you.
with her.
Annie did not yet understand the full meaning of his words, but she remembered every one of them. Outside, the Suburban waited beside the red dirt road. Carl opened the rear door and checked his watch. Richard
I still
descended
don't
the
agree
church
with this,
steps
Thomas.
first.
Those women
His
are
expression
exploiting your
still showing that
generosity.
he did not
Perhaps,
entirely
but
approve.
I made a
Jonathan
commitment.
paused at the entrance. Behind him, Annie and Evelyn remained seated close together. Evelyn traced each provision with her fingertip one more time, while Annie held the contract in
We
both
must
hands as
expedite
though
the
future
transfer
that had just appeared
immediately.
before her might vanish if she loosened
There are
her grip.
sensitivities
Richard
given the
lowered his
location.
voice. You
A
are
great amount
placing
of money
great
is
deal
being
of
placed in the
money
hands of a young
girl
woman we
you
met yesterday.
yesterday.
It is highly
Jonathan watched
speculative,
Annie
sir.
lean closer
And
to
this line
explain
here
one
confirms
line of
the annuity.
agreement to her mother.
Mister, please,
Only the day
wait!
before, she had run after his vehicle along the red dirt road with a charity bag in her arms. That morning, she
She did not
asked for more
request
food,
extra food,
or
clothing,
money for
or living expenses.
She asked only for education.
Then tried to find
Sir, the risk here is considerable. We should reconsider.
No.
She designed repayment
Jonathan
before
said.
asking for $1.
Richard turned toward
We
him.
proceed as planned.
Jonathan continued looking
My
at the young
role is
woman
not
through
to
the
decide
glass.
what you will
I am
become.
not deciding who
That
she will
choice
become.
entirely
He put on his
is
hat and
yours.
walked down the steps. I am only giving her the right to
I am
discover
only
the
giving
answer
you the
for
right
herself.
to
3 days later, an email from Howard University arrives just after 6 in the morning. Annie reads it once, then again, holding the phone close, as if the words might disappear. Her tuition for the first semester has been paid in full. Evelyn stands at the kitchen counter in her work uniform, packing a biscuit and 2 boiled eggs into a paper bag before leaving for the early shift. Annie turns the screen toward her.
The payment
It
went through.
Evelyn wipes her hands on a dish towel and reads the message. All of it? Tuition and the required fees. She lowers herself into a chair. Relief crosses her face, followed by the same caution
I
she has
finalized the
carried
plan
since
for
Jonathan
Washington.
stopped his car
I
on the red
understand the
dirt road.
repayment terms,
You
and I
understand
assure
what
you
comes
my
next?
grades and records
I go
will
to
be
Washington.
impeccable.
That isn't what I mean.
Gratitude is a virtue,
Annie sits
baby,
across
but it
from
must
her.
never
I send
make
my
you
grades
smaller
every
than you
semester.
are.
I
Yes,
keep
ma'am,
records
I
of every
understand.
payment. I start repaying after
Thank
graduation
you.
and stable employment.
I just need to
And you
verify the
remember that
remaining
his money
balance
does not
after
make
the
his judgment
scholarship.
more important than your own.
And what is the deadline
Yes,
for the
ma'am.
first payment?
Evelyn reaches
It's a
across
good
the
solid
table
bag,
and
just
takes
needs a
Annie's
little
hand.
looking after on that wheel. I
Gratitude is
appreciate it.
good.
It will be a great
It keeps
help.
a person humble. But gratitude
Thank you
should
so
never
much,
make
Mr.
you
Johnson.
small.
This means a
Annie
lot.
nods. I won't forget. The
You
next
just
week
focus on your
passes in
studies, all right?
lists, phone calls, and secondhand
This will help with
purchases.
those lonely
Annie checks
Sundays.
the cost of
The
every
cornbread
item
on
before
page
accepting
12 is especially good.
Mrs. Turner
I
from the
promise
church
I'll keep it
offers
safe,
a used
Pastor.
suitcase with
This
one
Washington
stiff wheel.
winter is no
Walter
joke,
Bennett,
baby, and we
who
already
runs the
paid
auto
that
shop,
tuition.
brings
This
a
coat
desk
right here,
lamp
it's
his niece
perfect.
no
It's
longer
huge,
needs.
Mama, but all right.
Pastor Samuel
Mom,
gives Annie
it
a small
practically
church
touches my
cookbook
ankles.
with
It's
notes written in the
huge.
margins.
Exactly.
You may
Room
not
for a
cook much in a
sweater, and your
dormitory,
knees
he
won't
says,
freeze.
But knowing how to make
That'll be
cornbread
$10
has saved
exactly.
more lonely
Thank
Sundays
God.
than people
Thank you.
admit.
We really appreciate
Annie
it.
smiles. I'll keep it. At the local thrift store, Evelyn finds a winter coat in good condition. Washington winters concern her more than tuition now that tuition is settled. This one is too
Mama,
large,
look at this
Annie
thing. It
says.
practically reaches
That
my
means you can wear a
knees. That's
sweater under
exactly
it.
right. You'll
It
thank me
reaches
when
my
the weather
knees.
turns cold,
Then your
baby.
knees will be
It's
warm.
perfect for
They buy the
sweaters.
coat. Annie applies for campus employment and receives an interview for a library assistant position during orientation week. She also writes Jonathan a short letter confirming that Howard has credited the payment correctly. She does not fill the page with praise. She includes the amount, the date, her student identification number, and a copy of the university receipt. At the bottom, she writes, I understand what this opportunity
Treating the
costs.
opportunity
I will
with
treat it
care.
with care. Jonathan reads the letter in his Atlanta office. He keeps the receipt with the signed agreement inside a private
Why did the
folder
student
rather
send an
than
accounting
sending it to the
statement?
foundation's
She
publicity
promised
staff.
she would.
Richard stands near the window with a quarterly report in his hand.
The
She
student
sent
has
you an
not even
accounting
begun
statement?
classes.
She said
Early
she would.
accountability
She has not
establishes
even
good
started
habits.
classes.
You are giving
That
the
makes it easier
arrangement
to
too much
establish
personal
good habits.
attention.
Richard places the report on the desk. You are giving this arrangement too much personal attention. Jonathan closes the folder.
I merely
read
read one letter.
You verified
We
her
verified
school
school
records,
records,
involved
an
an
attorney, and created a private payment structure. The
and
agreement
signed
was
an
signed
agreement
outside the foundation process. The company is still operating.
That is
not the point.
Jonathan studies him.
What is your real
Then make the
concern?
point. Richard chooses his words carefully.
People quickly learn where
People learn
generosity
quickly
can
where
be mistaken
generosity
for
becomes
weakness.
Today
One
it
tuition
is
agreement
one
could
tuition
soon
agreement.
lead to relatives
Next
requesting
month, it may be a
housing
relative
assistance
asking
or
for
medical
housing
payments.
or medical bills. Mrs.
The student's
Brooks
mother
asked
has
for
requested nothing.
Not yet. Jonathan's voice lowers.
Do not accuse people
Do
before
not
they have
accuse
done
people before
anything
they have
wrong.
done something wrong.
I assure
Richard
you,
picks up the
I am
quarterly
protecting
report.
your time.
I am trying
My
to
time
protect
is my
your
own.
time. My time is mine to protect. The conversation ends, but Richard's expression does not change. On the morning Annie leaves Rosewood, the Greyhound station is busier than usual. Evelyn has invited
Here you go,
no one,
baby.
yet
Safe
several
travels
church
now.
members arrive
We made
anyway.
sure you wouldn't go
They carry
hungry.
travel-sized
Thank
toiletries,
you. Thank
envelopes
you all so
containing a few
much.
dollars, homemade
Now listen
biscuits
closely.
wrapped in
These numbers
foil,
here,
and
they for
written
Washington.
telephone numbers
You call
in
Miss
case
Hattie
Annie
soon as
needs
you land,
someone who
understand?
knows
And baby,
someone
you
in
make sure that
Washington.
coat stays
Older
buttoned up
neighbors
tight. It
offer
gets cold
advice
up there.
without waiting
Divide
to
your
be asked.
cash and read
Keep
every
cash in two
document
places.
before signing.
And you
Never sign
telephone your
anything
mother
you
each
haven't
Sunday,
read.
hear me,
Call
and
your
sit
mother
near the
every
front in
Sunday.
unfamiliar
Sit near the
stations.
front if the
Just a
station
little
is
something for the
unfamiliar.
journey.
Annie thanks
Thank
each
you
person
kindly.
and writes every
I'll
gift
keep
in a
track of it
small
right here.
notebook. She intends to repay what she can.
Not every kindness is an invoice, and people sometimes give because they need to witness someone moving forward.
He says.
Are you sure you have everything packed in here? Your ticket, the papers?
Yes, Mama, it's all there. Don't you worry now.
Bus ticket in my purse.
It's in my shoe, Mama.
Emergency money.
Well, don't be telling everybody that.
Evelyn gives her a firm look. You were not supposed to say where it is. Annie laughs.
Now boarding, the 6 a.m. service to Jackson and New Orleans. Here, honey, let me help you with that.
Its stiff wheel drags across the pavement.
I told you, Mama, I can manage it myself.
But Annie shakes her head.
Capability does not mean every step must be carried alone.
That does not mean you
Go
have
with
to
God,
manage every step
child.
alone.
Do well,
Together,
and
they carry
always
it to the
remember the
luggage
community
compartment.
that raised
Before
you.
Annie boards,
We are so
Evelyn
proud
takes
of
her
you.
face between both
Don't
hands.
spend 4 years
Do well,
proving
she
you
says.
deserve to be at the
But do
university,
not spend 4 years
because you
trying to prove
already
you deserve
earned your
to be
place.
there. You already earned your
I'll
place.
call you right when I get there,
Annie's
Mama.
eyes
Call me
fill,
before then,
though
too,
she keeps
when
her
you
voice
change
steady.
buses.
Okay.
I'll call when I
promise.
arrive. You'll call before that. Yes, ma'am. Annie takes a window seat. As the bus pulls away, Rosewood passes in familiar pieces. The gas station, the church roof, the grocery store with its faded sign, the road leading toward Delta Harvest Foods. She takes out her copy of the tuition agreement. The signatures in silver ink catch the morning light. She reads Jonathan's sentence again. Come back with proof that this chance
I
reaches
promise.
farther than you.
I promise I will
Annie
make this
folds the
count for us all.
agreement and returns it to the envelope. I will.
Don't worry,
she
they'll
says
never
under her
find
breath.
out.
That afternoon in Atlanta, Richard enters his private office and locks the door. He opens a drawer beneath a stack of financial reports. Inside lies a business card from Malcolm Voss. Richard turns it over. A telephone number is written beneath a short message. When Reed starts making decisions with his heart, call me. Richard looks toward Jonathan's office through the glass partition.
Activate the
then reaches
contingency
for the
plan.
phone, while Annie travels north to
She
begin
just signed
the
the
work
agreement.
of keeping her promise. The first quiet act of betrayal begins in Atlanta. Annie arrives in Washington with one suitcase, a winter coat too large for her, and a folder she checks each time the bus stops. Howard University feels larger than anything in Rosewood. Students cross the campus carrying laptops and coffee cups, while families unload bedding, lamps, and boxes from crowded cars. Annie carries her own suitcase toward the residence hall until the damaged wheel catches against the pavement. A woman
Okay, put the
standing
blue
near
bin
the
right over
entrance
there. Watch
reaches
out,
for
coming
one
through.
handle. You look like you could use another pair of hands.
I think we forgot the
I
rug
can
in the car.
manage, Annie says. I didn't ask whether you could. The woman introduces herself as Professor Elaine Carter from the School of Business. Together, they carry the suitcase
Here, let me help you with that.
inside.
Oh, I
Before
almost had
leaving,
it.
We'll take this one
Professor
together.
Carter notices
Welcome to the hall.
financial accounting textbook under Annie's arm. First year
Professor,
finance.
honestly, I've
Yes,
got
ma'am.
it. It's really
Then
not
I'll
that
see you
heavy.
Monday morning.
Oh, I'm sure
Sit
you
close
do,
enough
dear.
to hear and far enough
But consider
from the
this
door
my
that leaving
workout for
early
the
feels
day.
inconvenient.
We're almost
Annie
to the
smiles.
elevator, just a
Yes,
little
ma'am.
further. You're doing
Her
great.
room is small, with 2 narrow beds.
I really
2
appreciate this,
desks,
Professor. It
and
means a
one
lot.
window facing the courtyard. Her roommate, Tasha Green, has already arranged framed photographs and a small radio beside her bed. She looks at Annie's suitcase.
I'll see you Monday
You
in
brought
first year
everything in that?
finance.
Everything I
Sit
need.
close enough to
Tasha
hear,
points
yet
to the
far
winter
enough
coat.
from the door.
That thing could cover both of us. My mother said my knees would be warm. That sounds like a mother. Annie calls Evelyn before unpacking. Micah answers first and asks whether Washington has taller buildings than Atlanta.
Hey, Annie.
Evelyn
Welcome.
takes the phone and asks about
Your
the
side is all
room,
clear for
the
you.
locks, the dining hall, and the location of the nearest pharmacy.
Is that everything?
I'm fine, Mama. I know. I
It
still
is
need answers.
everything I
Annie
need.
gives them. The library offers her
Seriously,
a part-time
that thing
evening
could cover
position
both of
shelving
us.
books and checking returned
Hey,
materials.
My mother insists it's
The
just
pay is
practical for
modest.
layering.
But it covers
Hey, Mama.
basic meals
Yeah, I made
and
it safe.
transportation.
Annie, did
she
you see
keeps
the
every
stadium?
receipt in
Are you
an
warm?
envelope
Did you
and
unpack
updates
yet?
her repayment
Almost.
ledger each Sunday.
I'll call you tomorrow,
Her
okay?
first weeks are harder
The present
than she
value
admits during
calculation
calls
makes
home.
sense, but
Many
did you adjust
students
for the risk
understand
premium?
financial terms
Of course,
before
the beta is
professors
stable,
explain them.
so the cost
They
of equity
discuss
is
family
straightforward.
investment accounts,
The returns on the
private
family
schools,
account have been
and
insane
summer
this quarter.
internships
Seriously,
arranged
and my
through
cousin already
relatives.
lined up my
Annie
internship for
listens,
next summer.
takes notes,
It's nice not
and
having to worry
studies
about
after her library
applications.
shifts.
Feel free to stop
Her
by
first
office
major
hours
finance
if you want to
exam comes
discuss
back
the
with a B-.
results.
She reads the grade twice. At Rosewood High, anything below an A feels like failure. She calculates how the grade may affect her semester average, then imagines Jonathan opening the report she promised to send. Professor Carter notices her remaining after class.
Do you have a question about the
Miss
exam
Brooks?
results?
I understand where I made the
I
mistakes.
understand every
That
mistake,
usually means the
Professor. I
exam did
truly
its
do.
job.
But I have never earned a grade this low before.
Professor Carter sits on the edge of the desk.
A grade is simply information, not a final verdict. But it will remain on my record. And the next result will remain there too.
Annie gathers her papers.
Someone is paying a great deal for my education. That payment was for genuine learning, not a flawless performance that hides every struggle.
Annie looks at the marked pages.
Pride can make hard work
Professor
useful
continues.
or prevent a person
Pride
from
can make
asking the
hard work
question
useful.
that saves her.
It can also stop
I was
a
hoping
person
you could
from
clarify
asking the
this
question
section.
that
Of
saves
course.
her.
Now, if we
Decide
apply the
which
formula
kind you're
here.
carrying.
Right, that makes much
Annie
more
begins
sense.
attending office
I've got
hours.
it.
She joins a study group and changes the way she prepares. On the next exam, she earns an A. At the end of the semester, she mails Jonathan her official grade report, a tuition receipt, and a short letter. The first semester taught me that asking for help is not the same as asking someone else to do the work. Jonathan reads the letter in Atlanta and places it inside Grace's desk. He writes no long reply.
For this project,
only a note
you will
on
work in
Continental
teams to
Stationery.
analyze the regional
Lesson
transportation
received.
sector.
Continue.
Focus on the
During Annie's
financial
second year,
restructuring.
a professor
Are you
assigns
still
a
coming
group
to the party
project
later?
on the finances
Yeah, I think
of a
so.
regional transportation
This shouldn't take
company.
much longer, right?
Annie
I
builds
hope
the
not.
forecasting model
I'm starving.
and writes most of the risk
Bills.
analysis.
Based
Two
on
members
these
of the group
calculations,
submit
the Q3
presentation
projections
before she
show a
reviews it.
significant
Her name
uptick in
appears at
viability.
the bottom of one
We
slide.
expect this trend to
While they
continue.
present
We
her
have to do this now.
calculations
She's
as
right
their
there,
own.
not here.
Tasha expects
There are
Annie
too
to
many
confront
witnesses
them
who
in
could
the
deny
hallway.
everything.
I'm not
We
arguing
need
where
evidence
they can deny
first.
everything, Annie says. She
I've
gathers
organized the
email
drafts and
messages,
email
file
correspondence as you
histories,
requested.
and earlier drafts.
Thank you, Miss Johnson.
During the
I will
next
review
class,
these closely.
She gives the professor copies.
Professor, I'm not asking for a favor.
Annie says,
I simply
"I'm
want the
asking for the
official record to
show who
accurately
completed the
reflect
work."
who completed the work.
professor reviews the evidence. The
Your written
presentation
explanation is due
corrected.
tomorrow,
Annie receives
detailing the
full
misconduct.
credit, and the other
How
students
could you
must
do this
submit
to
written
us? You
explanations.
completely
One of
undermine
them
the
finds her
team.
outside the
You should have
building.
confronted
You
me
could have talked to
privately
us
instead of
first.
making this a
I
bigger
did.
issue than it
Twice.
needed to be.
You made this
I
bigger
already
than it
spoke
needed
to you
be.
about this twice.
No, I documented the size
I
it
only
already
documented
was.
the true
That
size
night,
of the wrongdoing.
Annie writes a sentence in the notebook where she keeps lessons that cannot be measured by grades. Truth does not always
Morning,
enter
everyone.
a room loudly.
Hi, James.
Sometimes
Good to
it
see you.
arrives
Have a
with
great
dates,
day.
signatures, and copies. By her third year, she earns a paid
Let's dive
internship
right
at a
into the regional
bank.
analysis.
Her
Sarah and Michael
supervisor
here
assigns
led
her
the
to organize
research.
files and
Yes,
prepare
we
meeting
focused
rooms,
on the
while
recent
other
market
interns
trends.
attend discussions
I'd like to
with
formally
business
request a
clients.
performance
After
review of
2
my work
weeks,
so far.
Annie requests
review?
a formal review.
It's
The
only been
supervisor
14
appears
days, Miss
surprised.
Brooks. 2
You've
weeks
only
are
been
enough
here
to
14
recognize I'm
days.
not
That
receiving
is
the
enough time
analytical
to
work
notice I'm
promised
not
in the
being given
agreement.
the work described in
You
the
need to be
internship
patient.
agreement. You need to be
I can be
patient.
patient with
I am willing
learning,
to
but
be
I will not
patient with
confuse
learning.
waiting with
I'm
training.
not willing to
I've also
confuse
prepared
waiting
these
with
market
training.
analyses
She
after
presents
finishing
the
my
market
assigned
analyses she
tasks.
completed
Excellent
after her
work.
assigned
Please,
tasks.
join
The
us.
supervisor reviews
Thank
them
you for making
and
the
allows her
time.
to join
We
the
are
next
ready to
client
begin.
meeting. Annie learns more from that conversation
Based on
than
these
from the
figures, the
victory
institutional
itself.
risk is too high.
We must
Fairness
present
does not
stronger
always
evidence of
arrive
viability
because
to the
someone
board.
recognizes an
Otherwise, this
injustice.
proposal won't move
Sometimes
forward.
it arrives because the person affected prepares evidence that cannot be dismissed. She begins developing a model that identifies companies whose financial distress may be created intentionally. She studies debt purchases, supplier pressure, negative reports, and unusual transactions before changes
This model
in stock
significantly
prices.
reduces the
In her
downside risk
final
exposure
year,
in the real estate sector.
the model
And the liquidity
becomes the
ratios?
foundation
They
of her
remain
entry
robust even in a high
in a
volatility
national
scenario.
finance competition.
If we look
Her
past
team
the
examines a
operating
manufacturing
margins,
company
the true value
that
lies
appears
in these
weak,
assets
but
and
still
the
owns
active
productive
patents.
facilities
The
and valuable
debt
patents.
timeline is
Annie
aggressive, yes,
demonstrates that
but look
outside
at the
investors
active
are
output and these
increasing financial
undervalued
pressure to force a
patents.
sale
This is
below the
clear
company's
financial.
true
And the
value.
winner of the
Her team
national
wins first
finance
place.
competition
After the
is.
presentation,
Congratulations,
Margaret
that
Hill
was
of
truly
Northbridge
outstanding work.
Impact
Thank you
Fund
so
approaches
much.
her.
You explain those complicated numbers
without
without hiding behind
them,
technical
Margaret
language.
says.
Yeah, that is
Each
useful
day,
analysis.
most
Thank you. I
analysts
just
use
try to keep
language
it
to
clear and
prove they are the
accessible.
smartest
A
person
useful
in the room.
analyst ensures
A useful
everyone
analyst
understands
makes
the
sure
risk.
room
Now,
understands the
test
risk.
whether your model
Margaret
can distinguish
asks
genuine
Annie to test
failure
whether
from
her
deliberate
model can
financial
distinguish
weakening.
a failing company from one being weakened by design. Annie spends the next month improving it. Northbridge offers her a final semester internship. At the same time, Richard Sloan changes how Reed Continental handles its money. He recommends short-term loans, delays payments to suppliers.
The filings are
and
complete,
sends
sir.
Jonathan
The ownership
financial
is
summaries
obscured.
that leave out
Excellent.
several
Initiate the
warnings.
transfer immediately.
Malcolm Voss
Processing
purchases
now.
portions of
The
the
distress
company's
notes
debt
are
through
secured.
businesses with
This
different
report
names.
doesn't address the
Jonathan
cash pressure
questions
we're
the pressure
facing.
on cash.
The market is
Richard
changing,
places a
John.
report before him.
We need greater
The
flexibility
market
to
is
adapt.
changing.
Flexibility often means someone else must
Grace
absorb
used to
the
say
loss.
that word often means someone else is expected to
Sentiment
absorb the
cannot
loss.
keep factories open.
This is not a classroom,
Bad
Jonathan.
judgment cannot keep factories open
Sentiment does
either.
not keep factories open. Neither does bad judgment.
I assure
Richard
you, the
assures him
crisis
the
is
situation
temporary.
In
Congratulations, my
Washington,
dear.
Annie
Summa cum
completes her
laude.
final
All your
examinations
hard work
and
has
receives
paid off.
confirmation
We
that
are
she will
so
graduate
proud of
with
you.
highest honors. She sends Jonathan one last academic report. On the same morning, Jonathan receives a notice stating that Reed Continental may violate a major loan agreement within 60 days. He places Annie's letter on one side of his desk and the bank notice on the other. Across town, Richard signs a private agreement prepared by Malcolm Voss. In return for helping force Jonathan from control, Richard will become
Everything
chief
is in order.
executive after the
Sign here.
acquisition. While Annie prepares to repay the man
Once
who
this is
opened one door
processed,
for her,
his options
the
are
people
closed.
closest to Jonathan are quietly closing every door around him. Annie begins her final semester internship at Northbridge Impact Fund 2 days after the competition. The firm occupies 3 floors of an office building near downtown Washington, but the atmosphere is quieter than she expects. No one raises a voice to appear important. Analysts speak
The
in
Q3
numbers,
variance is
ask
lower than
direct
expected.
questions, and leave
Only
little
if we
room for
exclude the
guesses.
FX impact.
Margaret Hill meets
Check the
Annie in a
underlying
conference
assumptions
room
on
before
slide
the
12.
workday begins. A legal pad, 2
Good
sharpened
morning.
pencils, and a printed
Now that you're
copy of
settled,
Annie's
let's
model
go over
laid
the
on
projections
table.
you've outlined
Sit down,
here.
Miss Brooks. Annie takes
Right,
the chair
let's review
across
the
from
model.
her. Margaret turns the first page.
I
Your
want you to
model found
explain the
right answer in
variance on these
competition.
figures first.
Yes, ma'am. That does not
The
mean
model
it is
found the
ready
right
for
answer
real
in the
money.
competition.
I
But is it
understand.
ready for real
Do
money?
you?
We've back-tested the
Margaret points
parameters
to one of the
extensively.
assumptions.
It demonstrates
You treat
consistent alpha.
coordinated debt
I'm
purchases
questioning
as
the treatment
evidence
of these
hostile
coordinated
intent,
debt purchases.
as a warning sign,
We
not
believe
proof.
it is a warning
Good.
sign rather than
Because
absolute
sometimes
proof.
several
If
investors
several
see the same
investors can
weakness.
simply notice the
That is
same
not a
weakness,
conspiracy.
not join a
It may only
conspiracy.
mean the weakness is obvious. Annie opens her notebook.
I need another
Then I
variable
need
for the
another
model.
variable.
You need several.
several.
Look at management behavior, supplier
terms,
terms, and potential changes in credit access.
The
Whether
analysis
operating
must
business is
test
actually
whether the
declining.
operating business
Margaret
is
closes
truly
the report.
declining.
Your story may explain why you work hard. It does not
Your
replace
personal
your
story
analysis
may
here.
explain why
I don't
you work
expect
so
it to.
hard,
I
but
hope
it cannot
not.
replace the
Inspiration
required
is useful at a
analysis.
banquet.
That
Investment committees
inspiration
require
belongs
evidence.
at a banquet,
Annie
while
spends the
investment
next 3
committees
weeks
require
rebuilding the
evidence.
model. She compares distressed manufacturers, transportation companies, hospital systems, and regional banks. She removes company names before reviewing results, so familiarity cannot affect her judgment. One Monday morning, a file appears near the top of the list. Urgiga 417. Annie opens the operating data. The company owns factories, transportation patents, warehouse systems, and long-term supply contracts. Revenue has weakened, but production remains stable. The largest problem is not sales. It is cash. Payments to suppliers have slowed. Short-term borrowing has increased. Several lenders have sold portions of the company's debt. Negative articles appear days before large purchases by investment firms registered under different names. Annie reads the file again. Then she opens the identity key. Read Continental Group. Her hand stops above the keyboard. She closes the file and walks to the break room, where she pours coffee she does not drink. Jonathan's name should not change the numbers, but she knows gratitude can influence judgment as easily as resentment. She returns to her desk and removes Reed Continental from the system. She creates a blind file with no company name, no executive names, and no locations. Then she
The
runs
analysis confirms the
again.
warning regarding
The result is the
amalgamated.
same. At
So the
noon,
blind review
she takes
matched.
the report to Margaret.
We have a
Margaret
serious
reads the
conflict
company
here.
name and looks up.
It started
You
in
know
my rural
Jonathan Reed.
hometown.
Yes.
He offered a
How?
tuition
Annie
agreement,
tells
and
her
I
about
promised to
Rosewood,
repay
the
him
tuition
after
agreement,
graduation.
and the promise to repay
The
him
success
after
of the
graduation.
initiative is largely due
She
to the
does not
team's
add
efforts
details
and the
intended to
strategies
make Jonathan
implemented,
sound noble
as
or
detailed in the
herself sound
comprehensive
deserving.
report.
Margaret listens
Do you
without
want to save
interrupting.
the company
When Annie
because it is a
finishes,
sound
Margaret
investment?
asks, "Do you
Or
want to
because
save
its
this
chairman
company
paid your
because it is a
tuition?"
sound investment, or because Mr. Reed
The company
paid
has
your
valuable
tuition?
assets and
The
stable
company has
operations.
valuable
This
assets
does
and
not
stable
answer the personal
operations.
question. I
That
see.
was not my question.
Let me rephrase that
Annie
based on
waits
my
before
experience.
answering.
I admit knowing the chairman made me look closer, but the numbers are why I brought this case forward. But if the company cannot survive, would you walk away?
I would recommend staying away if the numbers fail. Prove the entire case again without mentioning the chairman or the tuition. These charts demonstrate that our factories are still manufacturing equipment with highly competitive margins, particularly when you look at the Q3 cost comparisons. While the IP valuations are strong, this liquidity curve indicates a dangerous trajectory. At this burn rate, we are still projected to default. The replacement of the cheaper long-term credit with these expensive short-term loans significantly impacts the Q4 balance sheet, as highlighted here. As you can see, the spike in supplier costs here directly precedes the drop in our cash reserves, right before the lenders adjusted their terms. The analysis shows the debt traveled through these subsidiaries, all linked by shared legal addresses and managing partners.
So the exposure is systemic.
I have to ask whether the company's management may simply be incompetent, rather than deliberately harmful.
Incompetence should create inconsistent mistakes, while these decisions all move in one direction, increasing financial pressure with suspicious precision.
Pressure rises exactly when outside buyers gain leverage.
Can you prove an insider is cooperating?
I cannot prove it yet.
Not yet.
Do not present insider cooperation as fact.
What happens if the company fails?
We've diversified the major facilities across the region.
This facility is highly profitable, employing workers from Rosewood, Greenville, and several surrounding counties, utilizing established rural employment networks. The closure has a profound multiplier effect. It jeopardizes the local stores, the repair shops, the churches, and the clinics that rely entirely on these wages. This is merely a social argument. It is also financial. We cannot dismiss community consequences as mere sentiment. The choice is clear. We can preserve the industrial output and skilled labor, or allow for immediate asset liquidation and job elimination. Your economic analysis provides the motive we needed. The investigation is formally authorized.
Northbridge authorizes.
Thank you for taking my call, Mr. Johnson. I know you just finished your shift.
It's all right. Happy to help. What can I do for you? I keep telling them up at headquarters, the orders haven't disappeared. We are still producing every day down here. Maintenance approvals now take longer, and suppliers demand earlier payment.
And suppliers want payment earlier.
Has headquarters explained the restrictions?
Has headquarters
Executives call it temporary discipline.
They call it temporary discipline.
Do you believe that explanation?
I believe
temporary is a word used when leaders do not want workers making permanent plans. Older employees are postponing retirement. The employees fear losing their pension benefits. One worker delayed necessary surgery because he doesn't know if his insurance will remain active. The superintendent says boardrooms call it restructuring, while kitchen tables experience it as choosing which medicine can wait another month.
Has management behavior changed?
The chairman still speaks about protecting plants, but another executive focuses only on efficiency.
Mr. Sloan talks about
the executive has been making the decisions.
Yes.
Be careful digging into those contracts.
Annie checks the contracts Northbridge obtained through public filings and lender reports. Richard's authorization appears on several agreements that worsen Reed Continental's cash position.
The Mississippi plant is highly profitable. So I ask you again, why is it on this closure list?
Well, Chairman, the analysis suggests
profitability is not the same as liquidity. We must solve the cash problem without destroying a productive plant. No leader can protect every worker from every market change.
I am asking only why a valuable facility should close.
Why close a facility that still creates value?
That still produces value. Because
sentiment does not pay debt.
Jonathan's voice remains
Sabotage does not pay debt either.
Neither does sabotage. Richard's expression changes for only a second. Are you accusing me of something?
I need the original reports, not these summaries. Yes, sir.
You have the
I will ensure the originals are on your desk first thing tomorrow morning.
Richard gathers the papers.
The Impact Fund is reviewing the company.
He calls Malcolm. Northbridge is reviewing us.
Who brought him in?
Richard says. Who brought them in? A junior analyst.
It seems a junior analyst initiated the review. I don't care.
Then
container now.
Richard looks at Annie's name in the internal report. She is the student.
The analyst is the student whose education the chairman financed.
Longer this time.
She is not merely an analyst, but a story.
She is a story.
The analyst's history can make every fact she discovers appear personal.
In Washington, Annie
the findings are
clear.
Report.
Margaret reads
this
the
was
conclusion
engineered
twice. Reed Continental is not dying from ordinary weakness. The report states that someone is increasing pressure until surrender appears responsible. Prepare the full investment case. Annie looks at the company name on the cover. 4 years earlier, Jonathan gave her the money to cross one barrier. Now the numbers suggest someone is building barriers around him, one contract at a time.
Breaking news tonight as the markets tumble again. The recent downturn following the...
If we look here, the volatility is unprecedented. The sell-off accelerated in the final hour of trading.
We are seeing a complete collapse in the final moments of trading. With banks pulling credit and suppliers demanding cash, the company faces imminent delisting.
At the Atlanta headquarters, employees leave in silence. No one knows whether the next announcement will concern delayed salaries, factory closures, or another executive resignation. Jonathan remains in his office long after the lights in the neighboring buildings go dark. His dinner, a container of chicken and vegetables, sits unopened beside a stack of financial reports. His tie hangs loose at his collar, and the desk lamp provides the only light in the room. Several documents wait for his signature: a formal notice from the bank, a list of plants Richard recommends closing, a demand from 2 board members that Jonathan step down, and Malcolm Voss's offer to purchase Reed Continental for less than half its value from the previous year. Grace's photograph stands beside the papers. Annie's final letter rests near it. Jonathan reads the letter again. I graduated with highest honors. The final tuition record is enclosed. I will contact you soon regarding repayment. The note is brief, like every report Annie has sent him over 4 years. Jonathan sets it down and returns to the closure list. The Mississippi plant appears first. Richard enters without knocking. He carries 2 cups of coffee and places one beside Jonathan. You should go home. Jonathan points to the list. You placed Mississippi first.
Perhaps you should consider going home.
I'm
not going anywhere until you explain why the Mississippi plant is at the top of this list.
The Mississippi plant requires the largest immediate investment to stay competitive. Nonsense. It remains highly profitable, and I will not sacrifice it lightly.
How did we get here? It's the fuel costs, tighter lending, and delayed customer payments. The market no longer rewards patience. You approved the short-term debt.
The short-term debt provided flexibility.
That wasn't flexibility, Alan. That was leverage for this hostile offer. Sign the closure documents. The buyer wants the factories, patents, and land rather than the company itself.
He has no
Only
intention
valuable
of preserving
parts
the company.
should survive.
He intends to
I insist that real people work inside the assets being discussed. Refusing reality, however, cannot protect everyone.
What will happen to the employee pensions after the sale?
But you cannot protect
They will
everyone
be
by
reviewed as
refusing
part of the
reality.
restructuring.
What happens to the pensions? They will be reviewed
We're
after
simply
the sale.
negotiating the pension
That means
reductions.
reduced. It means negotiated.
And what do you
Jonathan
personally
looks toward
receive
the
if they
windows.
take control?
And what do you receive if
What
Malcolm
exactly
takes
are you
control?
implying here?
Richard remains
I'm
still.
implying you've spent more
What exactly
energy
are you
selling
asking?
this takeover
I'm
than you
asking
have
why
finding
sound
another
more concerned
solution.
with convincing me than
I
with
have
finding
spent
another
20
option.
years
I have
finding
spent 20
solutions.
years finding options for you.
I
That is
call
not
that
an answer.
statement an evasion.
Richard rises. The board will
The
not
board
wait
will
much
not
longer.
wait, and rejecting the
reject
hostile
Malcolm,
offer
then the
could
company
lead to
defaults.
default and removal of
They
the
will remove
executive.
you. At least this offer
The sale
allows you to
preserves
retain
part of your wealth and gives you an advisory
and serve
title.
as an
Do you think
advisor.
status matters
Jonathan
more than
looks
the
at him.
workers? I
You
am
think I'm
simply
worried
tired.
about the advisory
The executive
title?
is refusing
I
the
think you're
terms, sir.
tired.
He won't
Richard
sign.
leaves the coffee behind and walks out.
I anticipated
In the
this
elevator,
outcome.
he
We
calls
move
Malcolm.
forward as planned.
He still
Can you meet the
refuses.
next payroll without
Can
the
he
credit
meet payroll?
facility?
Frankly,
Malcolm
we
asks.
cannot without the
Not
new
without
credit.
new
I want a revised
Then
lender
tomorrow
risk
the
report
lenders
delivered
receive
tomorrow.
The revised risk report.
The revised
That
report may
force a
force
default.
default.
That
Default
is the
is
purpose.
exactly the purpose.
Richard lowers his voice.
There is an ongoing investment
Northbridge is
review.
still reviewing the company.
Yes, the analyst
Reviewing
is from a
not
very
investing.
rural
The
area in
analyst from
Mississippi.
Rosewood is involved.
It's her first
Malcolm
major
pauses.
review.
If she brings Reed an offer, make
Make the
certain he
executive
doubts why
doubt
she
her
bought it.
motives.
In Washington,
We're done here.
Annie sits outside Northbridge's investment committee room with her laptop closed on her knees.
It's approved,
Margaret Hill
conditionally.
emerges after nearly
See the
3
notes on
hours
page 3.
and hands her a
Well
printed
done.
document. Conditional approval, Margaret says.
$65
Annie
million.
reads the first page. $65
That
million.
covers the emergency working capital and strategic debt purchases.
The
We
agreement
require a
requires
forensic audit, new financial oversight, comprehensive board reform, and protection for the company's core plants.
So the 2-year layoff restriction was approved then?
Yes, fully secured.
Approved. Annie reaches the final page.
Wait, I'm presenting this?
You built the analysis.
Since you built the case, you must
I'm
present
also
it. I
personally
understand,
connected
but I need to
Jonathan.
reiterate my connection
That
to the
connection has been
executive.
disclosed
That
and
relationship has
reviewed.
already been reviewed. You're clear to
cannot change
proceed.
the principal
You cannot
terms without
alter the
committee
principal
approval.
terms, and legal counsel and senior partners will remain available throughout the
Margaret
meeting.
studies her.
Do you understand the difference between carrying an offer and controlling it?
I understand.
Yes,
Do
ma'am.
not behave as though the $65 million personally belongs to you. I understand your gratitude, but we cannot ask the fund to rescue him simply because he once rescued you. Professional judgment must come first.
The investment stands on its own merits.
The investment stands without my history.
That is why it
That
passed.
is why it passed. Before leaving for Atlanta, Annie visits a bank.
This
near the
folder
Northbridge
contains the
office.
detailed
She gives
repayment
the manager a
calculations for
folder
the 4 years of
containing 4 years
tuition.
of tuition
The total is
statements
consistent
and
with
her
our
repayment
projections.
calculations.
Well done.
The manager
So,
checks the
you
total.
intend to repay
You're
the
paying us
entire
all at once?
outstanding balance
Yes.
all at once.
The
That is
funds come
correct.
from her paid
I have the funds
internships,
ready for my savings
competition
and awards.
savings,
Everything seems
and
to
the
be in
licensing
order.
payment Northbridge
The scholarship
made
and
for portions of
licensing
her
payments are
analytical model.
confirmed.
Perfect.
Scholarships earned
The
after
ledger
her first
balances
year reduced the
precisely.
amount Jonathan
The
had to
transaction
provide,
is complete.
and Annie has
Here is the
accounted for
cashier's
every
check,
change.
reflecting
She
the
adds
agreed
interest
rate.
based on the rate
Thank
stated
you.
in their agreement. The bank issues a cashier's check. Annie places it inside a cream-colored envelope. The Northbridge contract goes into a separate leather portfolio. That evening,
Does it contain the
she
full
returns
amount?
to Rosewood before traveling
Yes,
to
Mom.
Atlanta. Evelyn is at the kitchen table sorting household bills when Annie places the envelope in
Yes,
front
the
of her.
repayment includes
This
the
is full
interest.
amount?
How much will you have
With
left
interest.
after this?
And
I
after
still
you
have
give it
my
to her, what
emergency
will you have
savings
left?
and my first
An
salary
emergency
clears
fund,
next week.
My first
I
salary
still have
payment,
enough for
and
housing.
enough for housing.
Keeping your promise
Evelyn
doesn't mean
nods.
making yourself helpless,
Good.
baby.
Keeping a promise
But the
does not
debt must be
require making
repaid
yourself
before the
helpless.
presentation.
I need to return
Why
it
must
before
repayment
I present
come
the
first?
investment.
I need the
Why?
executive to hear
Because
me
I
as an
need him to hear me
independent
as an
analyst, rather
not
than as someone who
who
still owes him money.
Evelyn
Repaying
studies
the
her
money
daughter's
cannot
face.
erase the
Paying
man's
the debt will
generosity.
not erase
I am
what he
not
did.
trying to erase
I'm not
it.
trying to
Money
erase
changes
it.
hands, but
Then
human
remember
kindness
this.
changes
Money
hearts.
can settle an account. It cannot
Money
measure what
can
one
settle an
person changed in
account,
another.
but
The next
cannot
morning,
measure how
Annie
deeply
boards a
one
train for
person
Atlanta.
changes another.
She watches fields, small towns, church steeples, warehouses, and factory yards pass outside the window. The cream envelope remains inside her purse. The investment agreement rests on the seat beside her. By late afternoon, she enters Reed Continental's headquarters. The lobby is quieter than she remembers
They're calling
from
people
company
up one by one.
photographs. Several desks are empty.
Isidore
and
told me
two
they started an
employees
hour
speak in low
ago.
voices near the
We should know
elevators.
soon.
The receptionist looks at
Here
Annie's
for the
portfolio.
associate position
Are you here
interview,
for
I
an
presume?
interview? No.
Actually, I'm a
represent Northbridge
representative
Impact
of
Fund.
the Impact
I need to
Investment
see
Fund.
Mr. Reed.
I
an
apologize. We
appointment?
require an appointment for
No.
all unscheduled
Mr.
visits to
Reed
the
is not
executive
receiving
office. Of
unscheduled
course.
visitors.
He anticipated
Annie
that,
takes an
actually.
old
He
business
instructed
card
me to
from
give
her
you
purse
this.
and places it on the counter.
Please say that
tell
the
him
woman from rural
Rosewood
Mississippi has
returned
returned to repay her debt.
The receptionist hesitates, then makes the call. Upstairs, Jonathan sits
Sir,
alone with Malcolm's
the
offer
funds
in
from the
front of him
Jakarta
when his
group have
assistant
cleared.
delivers the message.
The hostile
For
bid
the
is
first time that
neutralized.
day, he lifts his head.
Is that
So
her?
they're up. The elevator opens onto the executive floor, and Annie follows Jonathan's assistant down a quiet hallway. Through the glass walls, she sees empty offices.
If the bank
abandoned
pulls the
coffee
line,
cups,
we're done.
And employees speaking in low
We have to
voices
hide these
over computer
losses.
screens. No one looks relaxed.
He's
The
ready for you
assistant
now.
stops outside a
Thank
wide
you.
office. Mr. Reed is waiting for you. Annie thanks her and enters. Jonathan stands behind his desk. 4 years have changed him. His hair carries more gray. His face looks thinner, and exhaustion has settled around his eyes. The man who once stepped from a black Suburban surrounded by staff now stands alone in a dark office with his jacket hanging over a chair. For a moment, neither
When you
speaks.
offered to cover my
Then Annie
tuition,
reaches
you
into
said
her
I could pay
purse
you
and
back
places
once
the
I graduated and found a
cream-colored envelope on
job.
his desk. I told
I
you
told you
pay
I would come
when
back
I
to
finished
repay
my
you once my studies were
Jonathan
finished.
looks at the envelope,
Sarah.
then at her.
Is that really you?
Recognition comes slowly. Annie Brooks.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, sir. He moves around the desk.
Highest
I saw
honors.
the
Very
graduation
impressive.
notice.
It
Highest
was summa
honors.
cum laude, actually.
Summa cum laude. A
You
faint
always were
smile
meticulous
crosses
about
his
the
face.
records.
You always did prefer
You taught me
exact
never
records.
to make serious
You taught me not
promises
to make
carelessly.
Serious promises carelessly.
But the interest,
Jonathan
it's all
opens the
here.
envelope and
As agreed,
removes the
sir.
cashier's check. He reads the amount, then checks it again. This
The
includes
check includes interest.
The rate stated in our
I
agreement.
used the rate written
You
in
kept
our
the
agreement.
I kept everything.
I preserved every
Annie places
document.
A narrow ledger beside
As you
the
can
check.
see, every payment is logged
Each
here,
tuition
alongside the
payment
scholarship
appears by
deductions.
date,
The interest is calculated
followed by
annually.
scholarship
And this figure
deductions,
here includes the university fees?
and interest calculations. Jonathan turns several pages.
How did you manage to accumulate
He
the
recorded every
repayment
dollar
so
for 4
quickly?
years.
I can
Yes.
explain, sir.
How did you
The
save this
repayment
much
came
so
from
soon?
paid internships,
Paid
competition
internships,
awards,
competition
scholarships,
awards,
and a licensing
scholarships,
payment for
and
part of the
licensing
financial
payment
model
for
she
part of my
developed.
financial
I
model.
preserved an emergency fund
I
and
kept
enough
an
money for
emergency fund
housing.
and enough money for
I
housing.
refused to empty
I
the
didn't empty
account
my
merely
account
to make
just
the
to make
repayment
moment
more dramatic.
I preserved the emergency savings and the housing money.
She asked
Did your mother advise you on that?
Yes, sir, she did.
He places the check back on the desk.
I never expected repayment.
I did.
I
A
did.
promise made face to
You could have
face
mailed
must
it.
be completed
I
face
made
to
the promise
face.
face to face.
I won't mail the check.
The answer leaves him quiet. He looks toward Grace's photograph.
You
and
proved
returns his
my
attention
faith
to Annie.
was not
You proved I didn't
misplaced.
place my faith in the wrong person.
Not yet.
Not yet. Annie sets the leather portfolio beside the repayment ledger. Jonathan's
What does it
expression
contain?
changes. What is that?
The
other reason I
portfolio
came.
contains the
She
other
opens the
reason for her
portfolio
visit.
and places the Northbridge proposal before him. Jonathan reads the name of the fund.
65
and the amount printed
million?
near the top.
This is madness.
$65
Do you
million.
actually represent the fund?
It is a conditional strategic investment, sir.
You
And yes,
represent
I do.
Northbridge?
I am a junior
I'm a
member of the
junior
deal
investment
team.
analyst on
I
the
built the
deal
first
team.
financial
I built the
analysis,
first
and I received
analysis,
authorization
and
from the investment committee to
authorized me
present the proposal
proposal.
personally.
Senior partners and legal counsel
are
remain
available
available
throughout
during the review.
Jonathan sits and begins reading. Annie remains across from him. After several pages,
An independent
he looks up.
forensic audit,
Independent
new
forensic
financial
audit.
oversight,
New
and
financial
restructuring
oversight.
of the board.
Board restructuring.
The fund receives
Yes.
preferred shares and
Northbridge
approval
receives
rights over
preferred
major
shares and
financial
approval
decisions,
rights over major
but these
financial
rights apply
decisions
only during
the
restructuring.
period.
It does not
This
resemble
does not look like
help.
It is not
isn't
charity.
His voice hardens.
What is it truly?
Then what is it? An investment in a company
The
that still
proposal
has
is an
value,
investment in a company
provided
that
the
still
people
possesses
damaging it are
value,
removed.
provided the people damaging it are
Jonathan closes the
removed.
document.
Do you believe someone inside is
You
causing the
believe
collapse?
someone is
But
damaging
given the
Reed
internal
Continental
damage, how
from
can we
inside?
recover?
I
Sir, the
believe
financial
company's
crisis does not align with our
match its
operating
operations.
performance. The
He
underlying
gestures toward
value
the
is still
reports
here.
covering his desk.
The lenders
Our
disagree.
lenders disagree.
Lenders only see the
Your
information they
lenders see the
receive.
information they
Do you
receive.
possess better
And you have
information?
better information?
I have identified a pattern. As
Annie
you can see
removed
here, the
several
factories
pages
are
from the
maintaining
portfolio.
competitive
Your
margins,
factories
the
are still
patents are
producing at
secure,
competitive
and these
margins.
contracts are still
Your
active.
patents retain value.
I see.
Your largest
Supplier terms
contracts are
worsen
active.
immediately before outside
But
firms
supplier
purchase
terms
company
worsen
debt,
just
and
before
that cash
outside
leaves
firms
through
buy your
agreements
debt.
offering no
Cash
clear
leaves the
operating
company through
benefit.
agreements that
Damaging
offer no clear
agreements
benefit.
drain cash,
Negative
and negative
reports appear
reports
before
repeatedly
coordinated
appear
stock
before
purchases.
coordinated stock
Jonathan examines the
purchases.
charts. She continues.
A naturally declining company
company in
usually
natural
weakens in
decline
several
usually
directions,
shows weakness
but
in
this
several
company is being
directions.
forced along one
Reed
deliberate path.
Continental is being pushed
It's
in
cross-current,
one
isn't
direction
it?
toward
Yes.
a forced sale.
They're using
By
these
Malcolm
shell
Voss.
companies to acquire the
Northbridge
distressed
believes
debt,
entities connected
pushing
to
us
Voss
toward a
Capital are
forced
purchasing
sale.
your debt through
We've
separate
mapped the debt
companies.
purchases.
But who is
Believes?
behind the holding
We
group?
have
Are you
enough
certain?
evidence to
The
support
evidence
the
supports the
investment
proposal, but it is
We
not
do
yet
not
sufficient
have
to
enough
accuse a
accuse
specific insider.
person inside Reed Continental. Jonathan rises and walks
My
to the
financial
window.
officer believes the
Richard
hostile
says
offer may be
Malcolm's
the
offer may
only
be
way
the
to
only
avoid
way to
default.
The longtime
Richard Sloan
financial
approved
officer
many of the
approved many
contracts that
contracts
created the
responsible
cash
for the cash shortage.
Jonathan
Be careful.
turns.
I
Be
am.
careful.
I am.
I am. He
He has
served
more
this
than
company
20 years
for
of
more than 20
service.
years.
You've
That
examined
does
the
not
company
make
for
the
only
documents
weeks.
less important.
Long service
You've
does
been
not make the
examining us for a
documents
few
less
weeks.
important.
Richard helped
The
build
longtime
this company.
officer helped build
Annie
the
closes
company.
the portfolio halfway.
He
Then
should therefore
be able
to answer the questions.
The office door opens before Jonathan responds. Richard enters carrying a folder. He stops.
The
when he
former
sees
student
Annie.
has returned.
So it's true, he says. The student
The
came
student
back.
returned.
Annie stands.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sloan.
Tell
His
me,
eyes move to
is
the
this a
cashier's
repayment
check.
ceremony?
A repayment ceremony?
We consider this a completed agreement.
Richard notices the Northbridge
And what does the fund
proposal.
demand in return?
And what does your fund
It requires
want in return?
access to the records for
Access to the
forensic
records
review.
needed for a forensic
I
review.
cannot
He
seriously
gives Jonathan a
consider the
sharp
proposal.
look.
I am
You
reading
cannot
it.
seriously consider this. Jonathan says, I am reading it.
This rescue proposal and the
Northbridge buys
accompanying
influence
check are
in distressed
straightforward
companies.
solutions.
It's exploitative.
They are
You're
using her
manipulating the
history
emotional
with you to make
context
the
to
offer
disguise a
appear
predatory
personal.
financial maneuver.
Annie replies,
At my best.
The investment committee reviewed my conflict
The
before
investment
approving
committee
the proposal.
formally reviewed my
Richard opens the
conflict
contract
before
and
approving the
scans
proposal.
terms.
The proposal would reduce the executive's control, replace financial leadership, and add outside board members.
That an
outsiders
audit
on the
finding
board.
no
If
misconduct
the
would
audit
establish
finds no
exactly that.
misconduct,
An
the
innocent review
will
would
show
show
that.
no
And
misconduct.
if
Will
it finds what your
investigators
fund
simply
wants
find
it
what
to
the fund
find,
wants?
The evidence does not change merely because an investor dislikes the result.
We paid for your entire education. Frankly, your ingratitude in presenting these demands is astonishing.
With all due respect, the terms of my scholarship stipulate otherwise.
You personally paid my tuition, the company did not.
The money still came from me.
Did not.
I returned it.
It came from his money, and I returned it with interest. Richard looks at the check. For the first time, he has no immediate reply. Annie
I'm not
places
seeking
three
a
financial
reward.
summaries on the desk.
Why did accounts payable slow, even though customer collections companies remained steady. Finishing the question on payments, why were supplier agreements revised post-legal approval, and why did firms linked to the hostile buyer purchase debt within hours of confidential lender notices?
The debt purchases were made immediately after the confidential notices.
You are drawing conclusions from incomplete data.
from incomplete
Provide the
data.
complete data.
This is just a university exercise.
Academic exercises do not place 6,000 workers' jobs at risk.
University exercises don't cost
Resulting in the
6,000
loss of
people their
6,000 jobs, we
Jonathan
can't
lifts
just
one
ignore
hand.
it.
The proposal is sound. The market demands consolidation.
Enough.
Cash flow reports, vendor contracts, debt records, approval logs, and other transaction evidence.
Audit communications.
Wait, look at these emails. If we sign off on the acquisition, we are approving the suspicious transfers as well. We can't do this yet.
Jonathan looks at the closure
You have
list
48
on his
hours.
desk, then at Malcolm's
Forensic
offer.
access will
You
be
have
granted,
48 hours,
but only
he says
under
to
strict
Annie.
legal supervision.
Limited access under legal
No
supervision.
material may leave the company without
Nothing leaves the
authorization.
company without
You
authorization.
trust a recent
Richard's
graduate over
voice
the man who
drops.
stood beside you for 2
You are trusting
decades.
a recent graduate
It comes
over the
down to
man who stood
loyalty,
beside
sir,
you for
after
2
all these
decades.
years. I am not
Jonathan
trusting a
answers without
person
raising his
over
voice.
another.
I am
I am
trusting
trusting an investigation.
Richard gathers his folder and walks toward the door. Before he leaves, Annie says,
The supportive
"Mr. Sloan."
records
He
will be
turns.
acknowledged
If
fairly.
the records support your
The supporting
explanation,
records will be
I will
included
put
in my
that
report. And what happens if they are
And
not?
if they don't, then
Your years of service cannot
will not
change what the
they
evidence
say.
says.
Richard exits. Jonathan
He just
watches the
walked
door
out of here
close.
humiliated.
You've
You've made a powerful enemy
Annie
today.
looks at the
Be
repayment
careful.
check beside the rescue agreement.
That she did
No,
not
sir.
create a new
I think I
enemy.
met one who was
She
already
believes
there.
she...
By 7
Good
the
morning.
next morning,
As
Annie is
discussed,
seated
this
in a
review is
conference room
strictly
with Maya
privileged.
Chen.
Please only access the
Continental's
documents
general
provided in this
counsel
folder.
and 2
This
Northbridge
agreement
analysts
confirms
connected
access
by
is
secure
strictly
video.
limited.
Maya
Only the
places a
specifically listed
temporary
records
access
may be
agreement in
reviewed,
front of
as
Annie.
outlined in
You may
Section
review
4
the
here.
records listed
Notes are
here,
permitted,
Maya says.
but no original file
You
may
may
leave
take
the
notes,
company, and every
but
copy
no original
requires
file
approval.
leaves the company. Copies require my
You must
approval.
report any
That's
suspicious
acceptable.
findings before you
If
accuse
find
anyone.
something suspicious, bring it to me
And the
before
evidence
making an
must be
accusation.
complete first.
I'm not here to
The
accuse
company
anyone before
already
the
contains
evidence is
enough
complete.
fear.
Maya studies her for a moment. Good. This company has enough fear in it already. Annie begins with the cash flow reports. She compares the summaries Jonathan received with the original reports prepared by the accounting department.
The totals
match,
align, but look
several
here.
warnings are missing
Supplier
from the
payments are
executive
delayed
versions.
despite steady
One
customer
note states that
collections.
supplier
The
payments
risk
are being
disclosure
delayed
is missing.
despite steady customer collections. Another warns that short-term borrowing is increasing without a clear operating need. A third recommends
The warnings
an
are
independent
absent
review
from the
of
cash
3
flow
consulting
documents.
contracts.
I'm
None of
opening the
warnings
vendor
appears
files
in the
now.
documents Jonathan signed. Annie writes down the dates.
Has
and
anything
moves to
emerged
the
from your
vendor
review?
files.
Yes.
Maya returns
It
an hour
appears the
later.
reports were shortened before
Anything?
reaching senior
The reports
leadership.
were shortened
The full
before they
data
reached
is
Mr.
here.
Reed.
Impatience.
Executives receive
The original
summaries
report
all the
flagged
time.
significant
These
cash
summaries
pressure
removed
warnings
only the
here and
warnings
here.
connected to cash
Executives
pressure.
often receive
That
those
may
deep
be poor
summaries.
judgment.
This reflects
may be.
poorly on your department's
I need
oversight.
the approval
Understood.
history.
However,
Maya
we need
grants
the full
access to the
digital logs to proceed.
The first contract shows legal approval at one rate. 2 days later, the price increases by 14%. Richard Sloan's
Look at Section 4,
authorize
the early
change.
payment requirement.
A second
It forces us
contract
to
adds an
release
early
cash
payment
before
requirement
receiving
that
materials.
forces Reed
This wasn't in the
Continental to
approved
release
version.
cash before
Who
receiving
owns it?
materials. A third sends consulting fees
And
to
by
a company
Plumwest.
registered at the same address as a firm
The
that
ownership
purchased Reed
check is
debt.
underway.
Annie points to the screen.
owns the consulting
Who owns this
company?
consulting company? We're
The
checking.
recommendation came
Who
from the
recommended
senior
it?
finance office.
Richard's office. The door opens, and Richard enters with a member of
I
the
understand
Information
executive records
Technology
are being
Department.
reviewed.
I understand
Access is
you are
limited to the
reviewing
chairman's
executive
written
records,
authorization.
he says. Only those covered
Have
by
you
Mr.
discovered the
Reed's
crime you
authorization,
expected?
Maya replies. Richard looks
I
at
have
Annie.
never used that
Have
word.
you found the crime you expected? I haven't used that
This agreement
word.
is clearly
You arrived with
designed
an
to remove
investment
me.
agreement that requires my
Independent
removal.
leadership is
The
only
agreement
required
requires
if
independent
misconduct is
leadership if
confirmed, sir.
misconduct is confirmed.
Do you truly
And you
have no
expect me to
preferred
believe
outcome
you
in
have
this
no
analysis?
preferred outcome?
I prefer an
Annie
accurate
closes
result.
the file on the screen.
Is that
I prefer
permissible,
an
counsel?
accurate one. Richard turns
No
to
executive
Maya.
emails be
No
opened without
executive
written
emails
board
without
approval.
written approval
The
from
chairman
board.
already authorized
The chairman
access
authorized
connected
access
to the
related
suspicious
affected
transactions.
The chairman cannot
cannot
waive these
every
protections
privacy
just
and
because she
employment
requested
protection because a
access.
recent
With all due
graduate asked
respect,
him to.
I know the
Maya's
law,
tone remains
and we must
controlled.
adhere to it.
I know the law,
48
Richard.
hours pass
He gives
quickly.
Annie one final look before leaving. 48 hours pass quickly. After the door closes, one Northbridge
He just
analyst
wanted to
speaks
remind
through
us of the
computer.
deadline.
He came
No,
here to remind
that
us
wasn't
of the
it.
clock.
He
No,
came to see
Annie
which
says.
records we had already
He came
opened.
to see which records we had opened. Maya does not disagree. Near noon, Walter Gaines arrives arrives from the Mississippi plant. He wears a work shirt with the Reed Continental patch above the pocket and carries his cap in one hand. Years on factory floors have left his fingers marked by small scars that never fully fade.
Welcome, sir.
Jonathan joins
It's an
them
honor
in
to
the
have you
conference
join us
room.
today.
Walter addresses
We
him
can
as
begin the
Mr.
review
Reed,
when you are
though
settled.
They have known each other for decades. You asked for
I
an
was
honest
asked for an
report,
honest
Walter
report,
says.
and I have brought
I brought one. He places a folder on the table. Inside are maintenance requests.
Despite these delays in the
delayed
supply
purchase orders,
chain and the staffing shortages
schedules,
detailed
and
here,
written concerns
I want to
from
assure you
workers.
that we are
The
still
plant
meeting
is still
all
meeting
production
targets.
targets. Basic
Walter
approvals
says.
now take longer,
But
and
we're waiting
essential
longer for
equipment
basic
service
approvals.
is being postponed into the next
Equipment that
quarter.
should be serviced now is being pushed into the next quarter.
The delays are regrettable
Richard,
but
who has
necessary.
returned for the
It's
meeting,
all part of the
responds,
company-wide expense
every
control
division
measures.
has been asked to control expenses. Walter faces
Controlling expenses means deciding what can safely wait, while the current pattern appears designed to make the profitable plant look weaker than it is.
That is a serious accusation.
It is a serious pattern.
Jonathan asks, how are the workers
How are
responding?
workers responding?
Walter takes a moment.
They're
before
delaying
answering.
retirement because
Some
they
are
fear
delaying
losing their
retirement
pensions.
because they don't know what happens to
I know
their
a man
pensions
who
after
canceled a
sale.
medical procedure just last
One man
week.
canceled a medical
One worker
procedure
postponed
because
medical
he's
treatment
afraid
because
his
the insurance
will
may
end.
disappear.
Families are
delaying college deposits and home repairs.
We
Richard
understand the
says,
situation.
"I
Fear
understand
spreads
the
faster
concern,
than
But
facts.
fear spreads faster than
Management
facts."
should give
Walter's
workers
voice stays
facts.
calm. Then give them facts. No one answers.
Are you from this guy?
Walter
Yes,
notices
sir.
Annie's name on the visitor badge.
I remember you from the food
Brooks,
distribution at the
you're
church.
from Rosewood?
You were
Yes,
just a
sir.
little thing.
I remember you from the
I
distribution.
recall
at
seeing
New
her
Hope.
carrying Miss Gable's grocery
You
box
carried Mrs.
clear
Turner's
across the
grocery
lot
box
to her car.
Annie gives a
Just
small
wanted to
nod.
help.
Walter places
4
his
years
cap on the
earlier,
table.
she stood in a charity line,
4 years
while
ago,
people from
you
that
stood in
same
that
community
line.
now depend on
Today,
decisions made inside
People
this
from
room.
that same line
I
are depending on
understand.
what happens in this room. Annie looks at the reports before her. I know. After Walter leaves, Maya receives the
Look at
ownership
this,
records for
the registered
consulting
agent for
company.
Omni Consulting. And
Its
here,
registered
Global
agent
Assets.
also
It's the
represents
same
two
shell
firms
company.
that recently
They are buying their
purchased
own debt.
Mid-Continental
The records
debt.
reveal that both
firms
debt
are
buying
linked to
firms
Voss
connect to the
Capital
hostile
through shared
investment group
officers.
through shared
Annie
officers.
asks for the original
We need the
audit
original audit
correspondence.
correspondence.
Several files are present.
I'm afraid the
but
third
one
quarter
is
files no
missing.
longer
Maya
exist.
contacts
They were
records
destroyed per
management.
policy. But
The
that's
answer arrives
impossible.
10 minutes
We
later.
need those for the audit.
Files were destroyed
When
under
were the
retention
records
policy,
destroyed?
she says. When?
3 months
ago.
earlier.
Annie
But the
checks
policy clearly states 7
They
years.
should have been retained for 7 years.
You are correct.
Maya reads the date again.
Then who authorized the premature
Who approved the
destruction?
early destruction?
We need to check the logs
Maya turns the
immediately.
screen toward herself. The authorization comes from Richard's
I'm
office.
sorry to interrupt, but you
Before
need
they
to
can
see
discuss
something
it,
immediately. It
Jonathan's
concerns the
assistant
chairman's
enters
office.
carrying a tablet. You need to see this. A business news site has published an article titled "Billionaire's Former Charity Recipient Leads Fund Seeking Control of His Company." The article includes Annie's tuition agreement, the amount Jonathan paid, and an old photograph from the Rosewood distribution. In the picture, Annie holds the same bag of groceries she carried when she ran after Jonathan's vehicle. Comments appear beneath the article. Some call her unqualified. Others describe her as ungrateful, aggressive, and too inexperienced to advise a major company. Several claim Northbridge hired her only to create a favorable public image. Annie reads until Maya takes the tablet
You do
from
not
her.
need to see
You
the
don't
remaining
need to see the
comments.
rest.
Right, Wednesday.
I need to know how they intend to use me.
I must understand
Jonathan
how they
enters the
intend
room
to
moments
use me.
later.
We've arranged for corporate
will
security
take
to
you your
escort you to your
tonight.
hotel. I
I
appreciate
can
that,
arrange
but I
my
can
own
arrange my own
transportation.
transportation.
Your home
This is
address
not about
just appeared
convenience.
online.
Your
It's
address has
mandatory.
appeared online.
I appreciate
Annie
the
considers
protection,
refusing,
but I will
then
not
nods.
abandon the review.
All right, but I'm not
We
leaving
must
the
see this
review.
through.
Richard appears at the door. This publicity
is damaging the company. We must end the investment fund's access.
How did the
Jonathan
press
turns
obtain the
toward him.
private tuition
How
agreement?
did the press obtain the tuition agreement?
I don't know how the press
I
obtained
have
it.
no idea. Maya
The
speaks
digital
from the
copy
conference
came
table.
directly from
The
a
digital
restricted
copy came from
internal
a
file,
restricted
Walter.
internal file.
The
Richard's
executive
face
is
remains
mistaken.
unchanged.
This
Many
particular
people can
agreement
access
was
foundation
private,
records.
and access
Not
was
this one,
unusually
Maya
restricted.
says. The agreement was private.
Only my
The file was
department, the
available
chairman,
only to
and
legal
your
counsel,
office had
Mr.
access to
Reed
the
in your
agreement.
office.
Are you
Richard
accusing
looks at
me of
Jonathan.
releasing it?
Are you suggesting I released it?
I'm asking you to explain who released
did.
this file.
Richard gathers his papers.
We will launch a
I will have my
full
staff
internal
investigate.
investigation,
After
Chairman.
he leaves, Jonathan watches the closed door. For more than 20 years, Richard's
Who in her
explanations
department
have ended
had
most
access?
questions. This time, Jonathan asks another. Who
Here
in
are the
legal had
access
access?
logs.
Maya
As you
checks
can
the
see, the
record.
timestamps align precisely with the
employees.
court calendar.
Both
They
were in a
both have
federal
confirmed
court hearing when the
alibis.
file was
The senior
downloaded.
executive's
And
account
Richard,
accessed the
his
file at
executive account accessed it shortly
143201,
before the
just
article
before
was
the
published.
article went live.
Jonathan says nothing. Annie looks at the missing audit records, the altered contracts, and the photograph now being used to reduce her work to an old moment of need. They don't want people
Their opponents
examining
do
the
not
numbers,
want
she
anyone
says.
examining the numbers.
They want
the
people
public
examining me.
examining her
Jonathan turns from the door. Then we keep examining the numbers. That evening, Jonathan drives Annie and Maya to his house in Buckhead. Corporate security follows in a second vehicle.
Keep the convoy back.
Refuses to
I don't want the press seeing this arrival at the house.
He wants the search handled quietly until they know what the archive contains. The house stands behind old oak trees at the end of a private road. Annie expects a place filled with staff and activity. Instead, only 2 lamps are on downstairs. Jonathan unlocks the front door. Baxter, Grace's elderly yellow Labrador,
hello,
rises
old friend.
from a rug near the hallway and walks
I missed
toward
you.
him. The dog's red collar has faded almost to brown.
Easy now.
You still wait here every evening.
Go on, sniff her shoes.
Jonathan says.
That's a good boy.
Rubbing Baxter's neck. Baxter moves past him and sniffs Annie's shoes.
The dog approves of very few people.
Jonathan says.
The animal
Maybe
may
he
smell
smells
traces of rosewood dirt that never left her shoes.
For the first time that day, Jonathan smiles. Maya opens her briefcase on the dining room table. Before we touch anything, we document the condition of the
Nothing
archive.
can be touched until the archive's condition is documented through photographs, access records, and a written inventory.
Jonathan nods.
The archive room is upstairs.
He leads them down.
We should find everything you need up here.
And framed photographs. Most show Grace in classrooms, at school events, or beside teachers receiving foundation grants. There are few photographs of corporate ceremonies. Annie stops near one showing Grace seated at a desk covered in papers.
Yes.
She worked here.
Illness forced her to review foundation records from home.
She reviewed foundation records from home. Why
did he maintain a separate archive?
Reports become shorter whenever they pass through people seeking different answers.
You understand corporate records.
She understood
My late
corporate
wife
records.
understood people.
She understood people. At the end of the hallway, Jonathan removes a key from a drawer. His hand remains on the lock without turning it. Annie steps away to
I
give
have
him
not
space.
opened the room since
Maya
the week
waits
after my
beside the
wife
wall.
died.
Jonathan looks at the door. I haven't opened this room since
I
the
have
week
avoided
after
this
she
room
died.
since the
You
week
don't have
after
to
my
do it
wife's
tonight,
death.
Annie
You do
says.
not have to enter
We may
tonight.
not have another night.
Another
He
night may
turns the
never
key.
come.
The room smells of paper and cedar. Books fill 2 walls. Filing cabinets stand beneath the windows, and an old computer rests on a desk beside labeled storage drives. Nothing has been disturbed by ordinary use, but a narrow line across the carpet suggests one cabinet has been moved recently. Maya notices
Who else
it too.
possesses a key to the room?
Does anyone else have a key? House manager,
The house manager, the security chief, and my longtime
Years
financial
ago, he
advisor
helped
all
Grace
hold
transfer
keys.
foundation records.
The advisor once helped
Annie
transfer the
walks toward
foundation
desk without
records.
touching it.
The computer should have been
computer is receiving
disconnected.
Power. Jonathan checks the indicator light beneath the monitor. It should have been disconnected. Baxter enters the room, circles once, then stops near
What
the
is
rear
it you
wall.
sense, boy?
His ears rise. What is it? Jonathan asks. The dog gives a low warning
Did
sound.
security clear the
Maya
house?
reaches for her phone. Did security clear
only
the house
checked the
before
first
we
floor.
arrived? They checked the first floor. A soft impact comes from the adjoining study.
Who authorized
Baxter
you to
runs
take
into
those
the hallway.
documents?
I'm just
Jonathan
following
follows,
orders, sir.
with Annie
Put
and
it down
Maya
now,
several
or I'm
steps
calling the
behind.
police.
A man in a dark jacket exits Grace's study carrying a banker's box.
Put it down.
When he sees them, he turns toward the back stairs.
Drop the box.
Put the box down, Jonathan says.
Get this animal
The man
away from
keeps
me.
moving. Baxter reaches him near the rear door and catches the fabric of his pant leg. The man loses his grip on the box. It strikes the floor, spilling contracts, storage drives, and folders across the home. He pulls free and reaches the driveway before security arrives. Grace sedan waiting near the service gate speeds away with him inside. Jonathan watches the vehicle
Did you
disappear.
recognize him?
Maya kneels
The man who was
beside the
driving?
scattered documents. Did you
It's
recognize
Thompson,
him?
the
Jonathan's
financial
voice
advisor's
changes.
assistant.
Who is
Daniel
he?
Kerr. Who is that?
Does
Annie
this
asks.
connect to the CEO?
Richard's executive assistant.
Dispatch, this is
Security
Unit
contacts the
42.
police
I'm
while
documenting
Maya
a crushed
photographs
banker's
every
box,
item
evidence
before
marker
allowing
3,
anyone to
near the
move
rear
it.
service door.
She
Suspect
directs
is
one
still at
officer
large.
to record the damaged box, and
Officer,
another to
this
preserve the
external
security
drive might have the
footage.
backup
Annie
footage we need.
notices an external
Copy
hard
that.
drive
Don't touch
beneath
it.
the folder. That may be the backup
Do
we
not
need.
touch the hard
Do
drive.
not touch it yet.
An
Maya says.
uncontaminated chain of
We need a
custody
clean
is
chain of
essential.
custody. Jonathan walks to the study door.
My advisor sent
Richard
someone
sent
into my
someone
late
into
wife's
Grace's
room.
We don't know
Employment
that yet,
supports
Maya
suspicion,
says.
but does
He
not
works
prove
for
an
Richard.
order.
That supports suspicion.
Suspicion
It does
is not
prove an
proof.
order. Annie recalls a
Suspicion
sentence from her
gives
notebook.
direction, while evidence
Suspicion
defines
is
the
a direction.
destination.
Evidence is a destination.
Originals are
Maya looks at
secured.
her.
Officer,
Exactly.
authorize
After the
release of
police
controlled
complete the
copies
first
to the
inventory,
analysts.
Maya
Yes,
receives
ma'am.
permission to examine copies while
This
the originals
signature.
are sealed.
It's identical
The recovered
across all
documents include
pages. But the
vendor
terms are
contracts with
completely
terms
different.
from
That's
those
not my
stored at
signature.
headquarters.
This is a forgery.
Several contain Jonathan's
The calendar
digital
shows he was in
signature,
Chicago.
though calendar records
Then
show
how did
he
my
was
signature
attending a
appear on these
medical
contracts?
foundation conference
This
in
ledger
Chicago
proves they've
on
been
the
stealing from the
approval dates.
foundation for
A
months.
payment ledger lists consulting fees sent to a company connected to Voss Capital. Daniel Kerr's name appears beside 2 transfers.
She was paid to remove the
Jonathan reads
archive, I know
entries.
it.
The transfers may have
was paid
another
to remove
explanation.
Or paid
We
for
still
another
require
reason,
authentication.
Maya says. We still need
Is it possible the
authentication.
complete archive
Annie
could
studies the
remain
old
on this computer?
Could the full archive
She
be here?
indexed every
Jonathan sits
record
at
so
Grace's
methodically.
desk. She indexed
My late wife
everything.
indexed the contracts, the foundation records, pension decisions, and
pension
promises
decisions,
made to industrial
plant
plants.
commitments. Maya connects a forensic device to the hard drive without opening the files directly. A list of encrypted folders appears. Each folder
Did
carries
the late
title of a
educator
book.
use books as
Annie
passwords?
scans the shelves. Did Grace use books as
She
passwords?
sometimes used lines
Sometimes.
taught in class.
She used lines she taught in class. One title repeats across several protected files. To Kill a Mockingbird. Jonathan takes a worn copy from the shelf. Notes fill the margins in Grace's handwriting. Inside the front cover, one sentence has been written beneath the date.
Justice is not fairness granted from above,
Sometimes it is only
but
the
truth refusing to remain buried.
Annie reads it aloud.
It sounds
Jonathan
exactly
runs his
like
thumb
something
along
she
the
would
edge of
write.
the page. That sounds like her.
It is a strong
Maya
clue,
photographs
but
the inscription.
perhaps not the complete
It may
password.
be a clue, but we need the complete password. Jonathan's phone rings. Richard's name appears
I just
on the
heard about
screen.
an incident at
He
the
answers
house.
on speaker.
What exactly
Jonathan,
happened?
I heard
How
there
did you
was
know
an
about the
incident at your
break-in so
house.
quickly?
You
My
heard
assistant
quickly.
contacted
Daniel
security
called
after she was
security
attacked.
after someone
But
attacked
your
him.
man entered my
He
home
entered
and
my
removed
home and
records.
records.
The assistant
He
merely
retrieved
retrieved
company
corporate property that should never have remained in a private residence.
Why
Why
didn't
was
you
the
tell me those
archive's
records
existence
existed?
concealed then?
A pause follows.
The homeowner was
Richard
incapable of
says,
managing
"You
details
were not
after
in
his
a
wife
condition
died,
to manage
and I
details
handled what
after
needed
Grace
handling."
died.
Did you
I
send the
handled what
assistant
needed
to the
be
house that
handled.
night?
Did you send
I
Daniel
instructed
here
my
tonight?
assistant to secure the
I asked
corporate
him to
materials
secure
before they could be
corporate materials
removed. I knew
before
the
Northbridge
analyst and
removed
attorney were
them.
coming.
You
They're
knew
just
Annie and Maya
outsiders
were
searching
coming.
confidential
I knew
files.
you were
Are you
allowing
working with
outsiders
this
to
hostile
search
investor?
confidential files. Jonathan's hand closes around the phone.
How dare you ask me
Are you
that after
working with
all
Malcolm
these
Voss?
years?
Richard sounds
I carried
wounded.
everything
After
while your
everything
wife
I
was
carried
ill.
for you
Answer
while
me
Grace was
directly.
ill. You asked me
I
that?
protected this company
Answer the
when its
question.
leader could barely
I
enter the
protected this
office.
company while you could
You
barely
still
enter
haven't
the
answered.
office.
This
That still
young
isn't an
analyst has
answer.
been inside the
Richard's
company for
voice
only
hardens.
2 days, and she
That
is
girl has been
clearly to
inside your
blame for
company
this
for 2
mess.
days.
20
And now
years
you
of
speak to
service
me as if
apparently
20
mean
years
absolutely
mean
nothing now.
Annie
You
turns
betrayed the
toward
trust
Jonathan,
placed in you.
but she does not interrupt.
This goes beyond mere
Richard
incompetence.
continues. She owes
You
you
owe
her
the
education,
homeowner your
and this
education
is how she
and are
repays you
repaying him by convincing him that everyone nearby is
Jonathan
corrupt.
looks at the altered contracts spread across
A
Grace's
faithful
desk.
person answers a
faithful
direct
man answers a
question,
direct question.
while a manipulative person
Annie says
reminds
quietly.
others of their debt.
A manipulative man reminds you of the debt. Richard hears her. So she is there. Jonathan ends the call. For several seconds, the only sound comes from Baxter's collar as he settles beside Grace's chair. Maya's phone alerts her to a new email. The emergency board vote has been moved to the following morning. Annie looks at the encrypted drive. They know we found something. Jonathan closes Grace's book and places it beside the computer. Then we
I
find
will
the
uncover
rest
the
before
remaining
they make me
archive
surrender
before
the
I am
company.
forced to surrender
Across
this company.
Atlanta, Richard
I swear
receives
it.
confirmation that Daniel failed to recover the archive.
The drive
He
is
calls
still
Malcolm.
inside the residence.
The drive
We
is
can't
still
open
in
it
Reed's
yet.
house.
Then find a
Can we
way,
open it?
immediately.
Not yet. Malcolm answers without hesitation.
By morning, the
By
drive's
morning,
contents
it
will no
won't
longer
what the
matter.
drive says. Richard walks toward the windows of his apartment.
What action will be
What
taken?
Are we going to do? We make the woman carrying the
Make
evidence
the young
look like
woman
the criminal
carrying
who
the
stole
evidence
it.
appear to...
By
We
6 the
begin with
next
breaking
morning,
news from Atlanta.
Annie's
That's right, the
photograph is
CEO
on
has
every
yet to
business
comment
channel
on
in
these
Atlanta.
allegations, which
The image shows
surfaced
her
just
outside
moments
New
ago.
Hope Missionary
A stark
Baptist Church
contrast
4
between
years
past
earlier,
hardship and
holding
present
a charity
achievement.
bag against her
This
chest.
graduate's story
Beside
is
it
one of
appears a recent
remarkable
photograph
social
from her
mobility.
university
The public
graduation.
narrative has shifted
The headline
dramatically.
This
beneath
isn't
both
just about
pictures
optics,
reads,
it's impacting the Q3
"Former
reports.
charity
Absolutely, the million-dollar
recipient
question
now
is whether the
seeks
board can
control of
regain
billionaire's
control.
company."
No, absolutely
Annie
not.
watches
We are
the
issuing the
report from a
denial
conference room at
immediately.
Jonathan's
Get me the
house,
judge on line
while
2
Maya
right now.
speaks with
We need an
Northbridge's
injunction
attorneys.
against this network.
A commentator describes
While her
Annie
presentation
presentation was polished, the substance of her argument lacks any real foundation.
Indeed, it seems designed purely for emotional impact rather than legal merit. This raises serious questions about transparency. Indeed, was her appointment based on merit, or was it a direct result of her history with the fund's primary benefactor? As you can see, the markets have reacted favorably to the recent reports.
A strong indicator of investor confidence moving forward.
The media is clearly trying to shift the narrative. We cannot let them control the subject like this. We need a strategy now.
I won't just sit here while they define me. I have to speak up. Silence and strategy are not the same inside a courtroom.
The calls confirmed it. They're moving against us on the merger. We need to review these filings immediately.
They are not the same from a courtroom.
The emergency board meeting has been moved to 9, and the hostile buyer will present first.
And the board's outside counsel. The directors moved the
and the longtime financial advisor.
We are recommending the offer.
How can you recommend anything after trespassing last night? You sold us out.
Richard,
the advisor claims his assistant was only there to recover company property.
And do you actually believe that explanation?
Your home, he claims
I admit I thought you knew more than you let on. But the truth is,
Jonathan does not answer.
I don't believe you at all.
I believe Richard knows
3 directors are demanding Northbridge's review end immediately because the publicity has damaged the board's objectivity.
3 directors are demanding the financial review be terminated immediately, sir. We need to discuss our options now.
They say the publicity has
the directors claim that the media attention has damaged their ability to judge the investment objectively.
The publicity was created to stop an
The publicity was created precisely to prevent an objective review.
A formal complaint was filed overnight accusing her of unauthorized access to company data.
Well, who filed this complaint? Tell me the source. It was him, wasn't it? The source is anonymous.
The filing does not
and you cannot state suspicion as fact.
Annie says,
the complaint alleges that information taken from the private archive was secretly transferred to the investment fund.
Nothing was transferred. Investigators may still question you.
We haven't transferred anything.
Perhaps another fund representative should attend the board meeting instead. Perhaps we should send someone else from the fund.
Away from the meeting tomorrow.
Is removing me truly what you want?
Another representative.
I want you protected.
Annie faces him. Is that what you
want? I don't need protection. People questioned my qualifications before I even entered this building.
This case could become criminal.
They did that.
Every action can be documented.
This could become
Replacing me would prove the accusations succeeded.
Every action I took. Replacing me now tells the board the accusations worked. Jonathan walks toward the window.
You are only 22, and a criminal accusation should not become the first line of your career.
First line
it will not.
To your career. It won't be.
This analysis is the first step. It's clear our opponents are attempting to manipulate the narrative and have everyone reading something else entirely. The organization confirms its full support for the analyst. But let me be clear, we will not engage the media with television interviews.
Your answer will be delivered inside the room where the decision is made. Do not waste strength arguing with people paid to misunderstand you.
Do not spend your strength arguing
based on
with
the literature.
Who are paid to misunderstand you.
The page numbers correspond to the archive.
The folders use book titles, dates, and classroom phrases from Grace's archive. One file is labeled, The Open Door.
My late wife used the phrase often.
What did it
Grace
mean?
Used that phrase
Opening
often.
a door for one person means little if the next person remains outside.
She said opening a door
As the
for
old
one
saying
person
goes,
meant little if the
history
person behind
repeats
them
itself,
remained outside.
encrypted.
Maya typed several
See if the
versions of
system
sentence.
accepts the exact
None
quote.
works. Annie
These can't be the
Grace's
publication
archive
dates.
index.
Look, the same date is repeated
Beside
next to
each
every
book
title. It must be the acquisition date.
Yes, that makes sense.
Dates.
When did she
Jonathan
begin
moves
teaching?
Closer. Their classroom dates.
September 12th,
Grace wrote down when she
1985.
first taught each book. What date did she begin teaching?
We need the exact day
Annie
she
asks.
first stepped into the
Jonathan
classroom, not
thinks.
just the year.
The exact day,
Her
yes.
first year?
It was
Not
a
the
Tuesday,
year.
I
Her
believe,
first
in
classroom.
August.
The day she began.
Mrs. Gable, I apologize
He takes
for
out
the
his
urgency,
phone
but
and
we
contacts
require your
Grace's
institutional
former
memory to
school
access
secretary.
these files.
I understand, David.
The woman
Have you
answers
tried the
after
code word
several
project
rings and
Chimera?
remembers the
August
date,
22nd,
because Grace began work on the secretary's
1988.
birthday. Maya enters the numbers. The first layer of encryption opens. A series of audio files appears, but most remain damaged or incomplete.
We need to push the target
One
stock
recording
price to
includes
50.
Richard's voice mentioning a target stock
Closing
price.
factories after a
Another
transfer.
refers to closing facilities after the
Your
transfer.
concern for workers will make you easier
A third
to
contains
isolate.
Malcolm saying Jonathan's concern for workers
The fragments
will
are
make him easier to
insufficient without a
isolate.
complete
It's
recording
not
and
enough,
independent
Maya says.
authentication.
We need the complete
How long will
recording and
verification
independent
take?
authentication. How
Forensic
long?
recovery
Jonathan
will
asks.
require several
the forensic
hours.
team needs several hours.
I am leaving
Annie
immediately
checks
for the
time.
Mississippi factory.
I'm going to the Mississippi plant.
Are you
Jonathan
seriously
turns.
still intending to travel today?
The board
will
hears the
hear
financial arguments tomorrow, but they must
They also
understand
need
what
to
this
understand
hostile
what
purchase
Malcolm's
means
plan
outside
means
this office.
outside this
Your
office.
face is everywhere
Maya
now.
objects. Your name and photograph are everywhere. Then
Security can accompany
come
me.
with me.
Welcome to the plant.
Walter Gaines meets Annie at the plant.
As you can see, the lines are running at full capacity.
Workers
We've
move
optimized the
between
flow here.
production lines,
Impressive
loading
utilization.
areas, and
What about the
repair
repair station
The
downtime?
facility
See
is
this
still
one here?
active, but
It's been
maintenance
waiting on a new
notices
motor
cover
since
several
last
machines,
month. And the trucks usually stacked up all the way back there. Now look at it. Folks, I'd like to introduce Ms. Clark, our new deal team representative. She's here to discuss the upgrades.
Welcome. Will these upgrades affect our shifts or the staffing levels, ma'am?
Will the investment fund close the factory after 2 years?
Closure is not part of the current proposal, but I cannot promise that no job will ever change.
Future decisions will be reviewed openly, and workers will have representation.
What justice means if people still lose something.
What good is justice if people
Justice cannot promise an absence of suffering. Instead, it prevents powerful people from hiding who chose that suffering.
It is a refusal to let
So let's be clear about who profited from this suffering. It wasn't the workers. It was the people at the very top.
Workers are not asking the older businessman to protect them from every change.
Others are rushed. A coffee stain covers one corner.
The workers understand change, but
refuse
refuse to be sold without the truth.
We're asking the board not to sell us without telling the truth. Annie
The forensic team just confirmed they recovered most of the recording. We finally have the evidence we need.
The forensic
Authentication should be complete before midnight. Investigators may attend the next morning's board meeting.
Investigators may attend tomorrow's meeting. Annie looks out at the highway.
They timed this complaint to disrupt the vote.
Yes. Then
But we will not delay.
Maya is silent for a moment.
Investigators may question you in front of the board.
They may
I understand.
question you in front of the board. I understand. When Annie returns to headquarters,
The board needs to
building is
understand
nearly
the
empty.
value destruction of their poison
Through the
pill.
conference room window,
We
she
highlight the
sees Richard
synergies
rehearsing
immediately.
His presentation with Malcolm's attorney.
This photograph,
His final
taken
slide
7
fills
years
the
ago
screen.
near the Ubangi
It
River,
shows Annie
clearly
holding the
establishes
charity
the
bag on
analyst's
road to
significant
the road.
ties to the
Above the
Foundation's
photograph are
operations in the
3
region.
words. Conflict of interest. Annie watches Richard adjust the slide, then close the file. He still believes the image proves she entered Jonathan's life with an empty hand. By morning, Annie intends to show the board what she brought back in it.
Look
By
here,
10
page
that
42,
night,
section
the
3.
conference room
This
at
changes
Reed
the valuation.
Continental has
Understood.
become a temporary
I'll adjust the
command
model.
center. Financial records cover one end of the
The
table.
intercompany
Maya
loans
works
are
with the forensic
overstated here.
specialists, while Margaret Hill and 2 Northbridge attorneys
And this
remain
liability
connected
is
by
completely
secure
missing
video.
from the
Annie
summary.
stands near the
We need to
screen,
isolate the compromised
arranging a
accounts
presentation
immediately.
for the board
Agreed.
meeting.
Northbridge,
She
have your
separates
team
the
prepare the
evidence into
injunction
4
by EOD.
sections.
We're already drafting the
Confirmed
documents now.
financial facts. Evidence still under review. The consequences of Malcolm's purchase and Northbridge's rescue plan. Margaret watches her move one chart
Excellent.
to a later slide.
The segmentation aligns
Why did you
perfectly
change
with the
order?
proposed
If I
legal
begin
strategy
with
for the
Richard,
merger.
The board may think
We've
this is a
structured the
personal
analysis.
accusation.
First, the confirmed
I want
financial
them to
facts,
understand
then the
the
evidence
company's
under review and the
condition before they
consequences
hear
of the
who may have
purchase.
caused it.
Finally,
Good.
Northbridge's rescue
What can you
plan.
prove?
Why move the
The
projections to
operating businesses
Q3,
remain
Annie?
viable.
We agreed on
Cash
Q2
pressure
visibility.
increased
Moving
after
it back
specific
focuses the
contracts
board
were
on the
changed.
immediate structural changes
Companies
first, Margaret.
connected to Voss
If she
Capital
begins with
purchased debt
Richard,
soon
the
after
board may
confidential
mistake the
lender
case for a
notices.
personal
Richard's
accusation.
credentials
So she
approved
wants them to
several
understand the
altered
company's
agreements.
condition
What
first.
can't you prove yet?
What can you
that
prove?
Richard and Malcolm planned
We
the
have the
entire
data
takeover
to back it
together.
up.
Margaret nods. Then do not cross that line until the recording crosses
The
it for
operating
you.
businesses
Annie
remain
closes
viable.
the slide
Cash
back.
pressure increased
What if
after
the
specific
recording is not
contracts
authenticated
changed.
in time?
Companies tied to
We
Voss
present
Capital
what
bought
we
debt
have.
soon after confidential notice.
What can't you prove
Does
yet?
not become stronger because
We
the clock is
cannot
running.
yet prove
Across
Richard
the
and
room,
Malcolm planned
Maya
the
removes
entire
her headset.
takeover together.
The audio team recovered
Not to cross
another
the line
section.
until the recording
Everyone turns
crosses it
toward
for her.
She plays the file. Richard's voice comes first, clear enough to identify, but still awaiting
We have a
formal
breakthrough.
verification.
The audio
When the
team
stock
just
falls
recovered
below the
another
covenant
section of the
threshold,
recording.
The board will have no choice.
Let's put it up on the
Malcolm
main
answers.
screen now.
Reed will
I
still
understand the
resist.
implications,
He always
but the
does
data
when
clearly
workers are
shows the
involved.
transfer occurred
Then
on
make the
March
workers the
15th,
reason he
exactly
loses
as
control.
detailed in the forensic
recording
report.
cuts off.
The board will have no
Jonathan stands
choice
near
when the
the
stock
doorway.
falls below the
He has listened
threshold.
without
Reed will
announcing his
resist.
arrival. Maya
The workers
stops
must be
file.
made the reason
There's
he
more,
loses control.
But the final section is still protected. Jonathan enters. Can they open
Can the
it?
protected final
The
section be
encryption
opened now?
references another
We need
item in
access
Grace's
immediately.
archive. Annie looks
The
toward
protected
digital
file is
index.
titled, "The One
The
Who
file
Opens
name
the
is
Door."
The One Who Opens the Door. Jonathan
I know
moves
that
closer
name.
to the screen.
The first password
A
used the
blank field
educator's
asks
teaching
for a
date.
6-digit code.
This 6-digit code
Maya
could
says,
reference a room, another
The
school
first
date,
code was
or a
the date
personal
Grace
memory.
began teaching. This one may be a room number, a school date, or another personal reference. Jonathan studies the phrase.
Access denied. It seems the
Her
date
first
format was
classroom was
incorrect.
room
My apologies, I must have
214. Maya
misremembered.
enters
The system
number
shows a
with the month
temporary
and day
lockout.
Grace
We have
began
5
work.
minutes.
The system rejects it. Annie checks the archive notes.
Could this
Beside the
refer
file
to a
name
former
is a
student?
handwritten letter. S. Could it refer to a student?
My
She
wife
asks.
used S to
Jonathan
designate the
shakes his
scholarship
head.
fund.
Look, Scholarship Foundation
Grace
Divas
used
University
S for
Awards. It
scholarship.
matches.
Maya
That's it.
searches
We
the
finally have
archived
it.
foundation calendar. The Grace Reed Foundation approved its first university scholarship on September 14. She enters 091406.
I authorized the payment, knowing full well it violated the FCPA. It was the only way to secure the contract.
Once the stock price falls far enough, the hostile purchase offer will appear responsible. We'll discuss what happens after the acquisition.
After the purchase,
we need to close the Mississippi plant first, sell the land and equipment separately, and reduce pension obligations during the restructuring. The chairman will be removed by the board. The betraying executive will become chief executive, and the founder may receive an honorary title.
The chairman will never forgive him.
Too little of the company will remain for his forgiveness to matter.
Maya stops the recording. Jonathan says nothing for several seconds. Annie watches the strain in his face. Mr. Reed, he lifts one hand.
Authenticate these files and transmit them to law enforcement, outside counsel, and the financial regulators.
Maya nods.
The forensic team still needs less than 2 hours to confirm the metadata.
How long? Less than 2 hours. Jonathan walks into his office and closes the door behind him. Annie starts after him.
Let the chairman have the moment.
Margaret speaks through the screen.
He should not be alone.
Let him have the moment. He shouldn't be alone.
He is not truly alone, but some truths must reach a person before another voice does.
Jonathan calls Richard. Richard answers on the second ring. I was about to contact you.
You have one final chance to speak the truth before the board hears it elsewhere.
To tell me the truth before the board hears it from someone else. Richard is silent. Jonathan
Did you coordinate the debt purchases with the hostile investor?
Malcolm? No.
I did not coordinate the debt purchases, nor did I alter the contracts. Honestly, I think you're exhausted, Chairman, and being manipulated by others.
It became about me once I received the access codes. It's their fault.
The crisis is not about you, mister. It is about the documented facts. You are replacing 20 years of loyalty with the conclusions of someone who has worked in finance only a few months. Your age does not make your answers true. I carried this company while the chairman could barely function. I was protecting my position and my family name.
I protected your name.
Did you believe your past service purchased the right to betray everyone later?
I did what was necessary.
I did what was necessary.
That is the first
honest thing you have said.
Richard stops speaking. Jonathan removes the chairman's pin from his jacket and places it on the desk. A good act in the past does not grant permission to betray people in the present. The hostile investor will seize everything by morning. I understand more than expected. More than you think.
The ongoing investigation into the Rosewood Corporation took a dramatic turn tonight. We expect to hear more details tomorrow. Are you safe?
She calls her daughter shortly before midnight. Are you safe?
But safety is not the same as being all right.
Yes, ma'am. That is not the same as being all right. Annie looks through
I'm afraid the public won't focus on the investigation results.
Jonathan remains alone
They'll
in his
only
office.
see the tuition payments.
I'm afraid they'll make the story about who paid my tuition.
But what if the board believes the distortion?
They may try.
Then you present the truth so clearly that believing a lie becomes a deliberate choice. People already believe she does not deserve to be in the boardroom. Some decided this before ever learning her name.
Some people decided that before
you cannot spend your life applying for permission from prejudiced people. The local pastor has opened New Hope Church.
Wishes to sit together during the night. Evelyn tells Annie that workers from the plant, retired teachers, local shop owners, and families from Rosewood.
The community is praying for the truth, including any part of it they may not like.
That includes any part of it none of us may like. After the
metadata is confirmed. The two executives are definitively identified as the speakers, and the recording has not been altered.
The recording has not been altered. Margaret says, then
tomorrow they will not accuse, but demonstrate.
Before dawn, Annie returns to her hotel and changes into a Navy suit. She places the tuition agreement, Walter's petition, the authenticated recording, and the Northbridge contract inside her portfolio. The cream envelope containing the repayment
This food is a blessing, sir, but I need a way out.
4 years earlier,
I want to go to
Annie
college.
asks him to open one door.
Tell me about
she
your
prepares
dreams.
to enter a room where nearly everyone with power has a reason to close it again.
Tensions are rising as union members gather behind me.
Outside
Make way! He has the petition!
Is crowded with reporters, employees, union
Folks, you need to clear the entrance. We drove all night for this. We're not leaving until they hear us.
Metal barricades separate them from the entrance, but their voices reach the executive floor whenever the doors open. Walter Gaines stands near the front with the petition under his arm.
We delivered the petition today. We stand united for the future of this plant and the generations who built it.
Protect our pensions. Save the Mississippi plant.
Inside the boardroom, Malcolm Voss sits beside 3 attorneys and 2 directors who support his purchase offer. Richard takes his usual seat near Jonathan, as though the past 2 days have changed nothing. Annie enters with Maya and
Let's get straight to the point.
Counsel.
The numbers here don't align with the prospectus.
Based on the current market trends and the geopolitical analysis, we must hedge our positions in the Southeast Asian markets to mitigate potential risks moving into Q4.
The pin, Chairman.
Absent from his lapel.
It's
Richard
missing.
notices first.
I removed it
You
deliberately.
forgot something, he says quietly. No, Jonathan replies.
I hereby call
removed
this
it.
emergency
The board
meeting to
secretary
order.
calls the meeting to order.
We are a
Malcolm
proud
speaks
company,
first.
but we are
His
severely
presentation is
weakened.
calm and brief.
The slide details the
He
heavy debt
describes
burden
Reed
and persistent
Continental
poor market conditions.
as a proud
Furthermore,
company
delayed
weakened by
leadership
debt,
decisions have
poor
exacerbated the
market
decline in
conditions,
valuation.
and delayed leadership decisions.
My investment
Voss
firm is
Capital,
prepared to
he says,
purchase the company.
Is prepared to purchase the company. Satisfy
We will
immediate
satisfy
creditors,
immediate creditors and preserve the company's
Reed
good name.
during a transition period.
But what exactly
One
will happen to
director
the
asks about
factories?
the factories. Every
Every facility will be evaluated by
Malcolm
performance.
answers. Walter shifts in his chair near the wall. Annie writes the answer on her legal pad.
Will the chairman
Another
remain
director
involved in the
asks
new
whether
structure?
Jonathan will remain involved.
We'd like to
We have
offer you a
offered Mr.
limited
Reed an
advisory position moving
Malcolm
forward.
says. His experience deserves respect.
We've created an
Jonathan
advisory
does not
role for the
respond.
chairman.
Malcolm finishes by
Your
displaying a
experience,
chart
sir,
showing
is
the
worthy of
company's
the
shrinking
utmost
cash
respect.
reserves. If
The
board
shrinking cash
delays,
reserves
he
mean
says,
any delay jeopardizes
Reed
payroll.
Continental may
This
lose the
proposal,
ability to
while
meet
imperfect,
payroll.
is the most responsible
The proposal
path
is not
forward.
perfect,
We must
but it
prioritize
is
stability and
responsible.
maintain lender
Richard
confidence
begins
above
his
all else.
presentation next.
We cannot
He
allow
speaks
personal
about
history to
stability,
affect our corporate
lender
judgment
confidence,
moving forward.
and the danger
When
of
considering the
allowing
proposal, I
personal
urge you
history
not to
influence
let
corporate
personal
decisions.
history influence the decision,
Then he advances to his
especially
final
history
slide.
tied to places
The
like
old
this.
photograph from
We were
Rosewood
assured
fills
the
the
food
screen.
reached the
Annie is
recipients
shown holding
intact.
the charity bag
But as
beside
this
the dirt
photograph
road.
from 4
Richard
years ago
faces the
clearly
directors.
shows, that was
4
not
years
the
ago,
case.
Mr.
The
Reed
chairman
personally
personally financed this
Miss
young
Brooks's
woman's education, and now she
Today,
represents an investment
she
fund
represents an
seeking
investment
influence
fund
over the
seeking
same company.
influence over this company.
We acknowledge the
No one
analyst's
questions
academic
her
achievement,
academic achievement.
but can the
The
rescue
question is
proposal
whether
be
this proposal
separated
can be
from her
separated
personal
from her
obligation
personal
to the
obligation.
chairman?
The
Maya
relationship
says,
was
"The
fully
relationship
disclosed
was
and
fully
reviewed by
disclosed to
outside counsel."
Northbridge and reviewed
She
by
graduated
outside
only
counsel."
weeks ago.
Richard looks toward Annie. Miss Brooks graduated
Are we really
only
going
weeks
to
ago,
trust the future
yet
of this
we are
company
being
to a
asked
spread
place the
check
future of a
modeled by a
major
recent
American
graduate?
company in her analysis.
Permission to
Annie
respond,
closes
sir.
her pen. May I
According to the
respond?
terms of this
Jonathan
agreement,
nods.
dated
She stands
August
and removes the tuition
2017,
agreement from her
the
portfolio.
university received
Yes,
full payment
Mr.
from you,
Reed paid
sir.
my university
Yes, my
tuition.
family received
My family
assistance, and I
received
have
food
never
from his
concealed that
foundation.
fact.
I
And
have
this
never hidden
agreement.
either fact.
It changes
Richard
nothing about
gestures
my
toward the
position here.
photograph. Then
It
you
was
agree
always
that your
about
relationship
charity,
with him
plain
began
and
through
simple.
charity.
No, Chairman.
It began when I asked
It
you to
began
examine
when I
my work.
asked you to
She
examine
places
my
the
work.
cashier's check on the table.
As you can see,
This repays
this
every
cashier's
tuition
check
payment
fully repays the
with the
tuition
interest
with the
specified
agreed
in our
contractual
agreement.
interest,
A director near
detailed here in the
Malcolm picks up
ledger.
the attached
Was the
ledger.
entire amount paid?
You
Yes.
paid the full amount? Yes. Malcolm folds his
Repayment
hands.
cannot
Repayment
remove
does not
emotional
remove
influence.
Payment
No,
alone cannot
Annie
remove
says.
emotional
That is
influence.
why
That is why
Northbridge
senior
assigned
reviewers, outside counsel, and an independent investment committee were assigned to this transaction.
I cannot personally
I cannot
approve or
approve
alter a
or change
$65
a
million
$65
transaction at this stage.
transaction
That
by
is correct.
myself.
The governance
Margaret speaks
process
from the
requires
screen.
full committee
That is
review.
correct.
The young analyst
Miss Brooks
identified the opportunity and led the first analysis, but senior investment
The final
officers
proposal was
conducted the
reviewed
final
by
review.
senior investment
The senior
officers who
reviewers have absolutely no personal relationship with the chairman, I can assure you of
Malcolm
that.
turns toward the
Then why
screen.
was the junior analyst chosen to
Northbridge
present
still
this
chose her to
review?
present it.
The young analyst
I
was
chose her
selected because she understands the financial pattern better than
better
anyone
than
on the
anyone
team,
on our team.
adding that her background
Margaret
explains her
says.
close
Her
attention but
background
not the validity of the
explains why she
findings.
looked
The
closely.
personal
It does
background
not
simply
explain why
cannot
the numbers
explain why the
survived review.
financial numbers
Annie
survived
replaces
independent
Richard's
review.
slide with a report
The data
showing
stands
Reed
on its own
Continental's
merit.
operating results.
The data clearly
The
shows that the
factories
factories are not the primary cause. Look at these competitive production margins and the active customer contracts. Our patents and logistics systems continue to hold value. But the immediate danger, shown in this chart, stems from severe cash pressure. This timeline clearly shows how the change in supplier terms increased short-term debt, leading directly to delayed payments and significant cash pressure.
These shell companies, all linked to you,
you, acquired the distressed debt at a steep discount.
It is perfectly legal to buy defaulted paper.
Purchasing distressed debt is legal, but creating the distress through internal cooperation is not.
Richard's voice sharpens.
The allegation is completely unsupported.
Then explain why these contract changes were approved using your credentials after the legal review.
These summaries omit the warnings from the original reports. And this payment right here traces directly back to the buyer's holding company.
A buyer-connected company paid the advisor's assistant before he entered the chairman's private home to remove archived records.
The records were company property.
The assistant entered a private residence without permission, and the recovered materials are secured as evidence.
The recovered materials are now secured.
Are you accusing the advisor of conspiring with the acquisition firm?
Are you accusing Mr. Sloan of conspiring with Voss Capital?
Confirmed facts.
I am presenting confirmed
Remaining
facts
evidence
first.
will be addressed after authentication enters the official record.
Authentication is entered into the record.
The accusation has arrived before proof.
The warning came before the completed proof, and that warning justified the investigation.
That is why we investigated. Richard steps closer to the table.
The entire review started because of your emotional debt to the chairman. You admitted it yourself. Don't deny it now.
She has said so herself.
Gratitude brought my attention to the company's name, but the evidence kept me investigating.
Evidence kept me there.
Be direct.
Malcolm rises. Let us be direct.
Everything you possess began with the chairman's money.
Today began with Mr. Reed's
and as the
money.
ledger shows, it has all been repaid.
No.
Everything I have began with work. The chairman's money removed one barrier, but I crossed every mile afterward.
After that, the room remains quiet. Walter opens the petition but does not speak yet. Annie displays the Northbridge proposal. Our fund is prepared
representing $65 million in emergency capital and strategic debt purchases. This agreement protects core factories from mass layoffs for 2 years. This proposal creates independent financial oversight and gives workers formal representation during restructuring.
And the cost of this representation.
What exactly does the investment fund receive in exchange for this capital?
The fund receives preferred shares, granting temporary approval rights over major financial decisions. The fund expects a return if the company recovers.
The plan is not charity.
Charity can help a family survive 1 week.
The plan must keep the company operating long enough to correct the damage.
Do not surrender control based on these accusations.
The accusations come from someone who owes her career to the chairman.
I repaid the money so the debt could never be used as a leash.
The boardroom doors open.
What is the meaning of this intrusion? By what authority are you present in this boardroom?
May I ask why you are here?
We have a warrant concerning unauthorized access to company data and possession of confidential records.
Mr. Chairman,
Malcolm appears surprised.
I move that we suspend this meeting immediately. This is a clear case of corporate deception.
This meeting should be suspended.
I've already stated my refusal to suspend. This is a seizure of evidence. Place the portfolio on the table immediately.
Please place your portfolio on the table.
The records were reviewed under the chairman's authorization.
She reviewed those records.
No signed authorization covers the private archive.
No signed authorization covering the private
You must not speak before the warrant is reviewed, because accepting responsibility could expose you personally.
The warrant. Accepting responsibility may expose you personally. The officer takes Annie's wrists and secures the handcuffs. Richard looks around.
This is the person the investment fund asks you to trust.
Is asking you to trust. Jonathan looks at Annie, then at the tuition agreement signed 4 years earlier. She had trusted his word before any lawyer prepared a page. Now the room waits to see whether he will.
The silence ends now.
The truth. Jonathan
we have a duty to this institution, and more important,
Jonathan stood with both hands.
I want to make this perfectly clear.
Miss Brooks acted with my
authorization. Miss Brooks acted with my full authorization.
Jonathan, we need to review the language
please don't say
before you
anything
make any
yet.
statement. There is
Mr.
nothing
Reed,
to
thank you
review.
for meeting with us
the
today.
Investigator
Let's
turned
begin.
toward him. You authorized her access to the
Mr.
company's
Reed,
internal records?
Did you authorize Annie's access to the company records?
Yes, I did.
I
take full responsibility for that decision.
Miss Chen.
I have already opened the archive room in my residence and permitted Miss Brooks and the forensic team full access to the records. I understand the gravity of this admission.
We've compiled the temporary access agreements, the security logs, and records of every file reviewed.
Quietly with one of the officers.
Based on this, the inconsistencies remain.
The officer
we have grounds to
handcuffs
detain
from
her.
Annie.
Understood.
You are not cleared of the complaint, the investigator told her. But we will
Ms. Brooks,
verify the authorization
while you are not yet
before
cleared,
taking further
we will
action.
take no further action until
understand,
authorization
Annie
is
said.
verified.
She rubbed one wrist once, then returned to her place, beside the table. Malcolm closed the folder in front of him. Even if access was authorized, that does not make the information reliable.
Even authorized access does not make the information reliable. We need to focus on doubt and control.
The board has spent enough time questioning why she entered the room.
You must now confront why the company reached this disastrous point. Do not let your embarrassment drive you into a public confession.
You still think this is about embarrassment?
This isn't just about you, Jonathan.
The company. No,
this is not merely about embarrassment. We cannot protect the company by shielding those at the top from the consequences of their actions.
He removed the chairman's pin from the table and set it beside Annie's repayment check. After Grace died, I stopped leading. I attended meetings.
I kept attending meetings, but stopped asking the difficult questions leadership required. Grief made me vulnerable to manipulation. I trusted summaries because originals took time, and trusted familiar faces because doubt felt like another burden.
Grief nearly destroyed this company. I held it together when you couldn't, and we are grateful for that.
I will not deny
but it doesn't excuse the malfeasance that followed. One honorable act in the past cannot purchase permission to betray people in the present.
Past does not purchase permission to betray people in the present.
You're repeating the young analyst's language.
He is repeating her language now. No.
I am finally using my own judgment.
I am finally using my own judgment.
I did not alter supplier contracts or arrange secret debt purchases.
I did not alter the contracts.
I refuse false innocence, but I will not take responsibility for acts I did not commit. My absence created the silence that allowed misconduct to grow, and that failure is my own.
One director
Are you admitting negligence?
Are you admitting negligence?
I am admitting responsibility rather than negligence.
His attorney closed his eyes.
The person who opened the door must answer for what entered.
I
will answer for my own decisions, but will not permit this young analyst to be treated as a criminal for discovering records that company officers tried to hide.
We now present the authenticated evidence. As you can see on the screen, this is the first supplier contract.
If we look closely at Section C and the date stamp, the altered version was uploaded precisely 2 days after legal sign-off.
The altered agreement clearly shows a $12 million price increase and 30-day payment terms. Furthermore, the finance chief's approval is logged right here.
These credentials could easily be copied.
They could. However, the forensic investigation went significantly further than that.
As you can see, the device records and access locations confirm these approvals originated from the finance chief's office computer. The security codes match his company phone exactly.
I delegated that work to my staff.
Those employees can testify under oath before we advance to the next financial file.
The consulting fees here, totaling over $2 million, are linked directly to the outside investment firm. The executive assistant authorized both payments.
My firm works with many consultants, and frankly, shared contacts prove nothing.
Perhaps, but these are the records of the shell company used to purchase the outstanding debt.
These debt purchases aren't random. They clarify the relationship between the subsidiaries and the holding company, as shown in this distressed asset chart.
Despite the varied names, the shell companies share attorneys, addresses, and accounts, tracing directly back to the investors' partners. The companies are legal investment vehicles.
Buying debt is legal, but receiving confidential lender information beforehand is not.
Are we seriously going to let a recent graduate accuse experienced executives of crimes based purely on these charts?
The charts explain the movement of money, while an authenticated recording explains the actual plan. Yes, make sure the funds are routed through the Cayman account.
The stock price falling below a covenant threshold, so the board will have no choice.
Richard's voice filled the room. When the stock falls below the covenant
threshold, the Mississippi facility be closed first after the purchase, because its land and equipment would bring more money separately.
The land and equipment.
The defined benefit plan is unsustainable. We need to transition immediately. And with the chairman neutralized, we promote David to CEO.
Wait, hold on. That file has been tampered with.
When the file ended,
this recording is completely altered. It's not what happened.
Maya placed
the digital forensic laboratory examined the recording and confirmed that its metadata remained completely intact. We also verified the full chain of custody.
The voices were authenticated, and no edits were detected.
Richard looked at Malcolm.
You have to call the conversation hypothetical.
I discuss many possible acquisitions and cannot be responsible for how the finance chief interpreted those conversations.
I cannot be responsible for Mr.
I was promised the chief executive position and board support. That was merely one of many management possibilities.
With many people.
Do not answer him.
Malcolm's attorney leaned
You orchestrated this whole collapse, didn't you?
Richard rose from
I
his
said
chair.
Do not answer.
You planned all of this.
Malcolm
looked at him without sympathy. Sit down, Richard. That command changed something in Richard's face. For years, he had spoken to Jonathan as a trusted equal. To Malcolm, he had always been useful only while obedient. Richard reached for the
Leave
folder
every
beside
document
him.
on the table,
The
Mr.
security
Harrison.
officer stepped forward.
I am still
Leave
the Chief
documents
Financial
on the
Officer.
table.
You can't do
I am still
this.
Chief Financial Officer.
You no longer
Jonathan
hold
answered.
authority.
Not anymore.
This requires a board vote.
Me without a board vote.
I can suspend you pending investigation.
Pending an investigation.
The board is expected to confirm the suspension before the meeting ends. We will proceed accordingly.
The investigator who had entered for Annie now approached Richard. Mr.
You must
Sloan,
answer questions regarding unauthorized access, the attempted removal of records, and falsified approvals.
And possible financial
Based on
fraud.
these documents,
Richard
we are
looked around
looking
the
at
table as if
significant
searching for one
financial
person
fraud
willing to
and
defend
deliberate
him.
concealment
No
of
one did.
assets.
Malcolm remained seated. As officers escorted Richard from the room,
I
he
kept
turned
the
toward
company
Jonathan.
alive while the chairman
I kept this
mourned.
company alive while you mourned. Jonathan did not look away.
The finance
And then
chief
he
later tried to sell what others spent their lives
The
building.
doors closed behind Richard. Malcolm gathered his papers.
The
Nothing
evidence does
presented
not
here
change the
changes
company's
Reed
financial
Continental's
condition.
financial position.
Internal misconduct has
You
been
may have discovered
exposed,
internal
but default
misconduct.
is still approaching.
But the
My
company is
purchase
still approaching
proposal
default.
remains the only
My
completed
remains
offer
the
before
only
the board.
completed
That is
purchase proposal
incorrect.
Before the board. Annie returned to the financial presentation.
Emergency capital
That
can
is
be
not
released
correct.
as soon as
She
the board
placed the
accepts the
Northbridge
governance
agreement in front of
conditions.
each director. Northbridge is prepared to release emergency capital.
The
as
investment
soon
will
as the
fund
board accepts
payroll,
the governance
purchase critical
conditions.
debt,
The
protect
investment
core
funds
plants,
payroll,
and give the company
purchases
enough
critical
time to
debt,
rebuild
protects
rather
the
than
core
collapse.
plants, and gives the
Exposing the
company time
people
to
who
rebuild.
caused this
A
crisis does
director
not
looked
create
toward
the
the
cash
windows
we need to
where
save the
workers
company.
remained outside.
We have to
Exposing
prioritize
the people who
survival.
caused the crisis does
Exposure
not
alone
create cash.
creates no
He
money.
said. No.
The
Annie
truth
replied.
identifies who
Truth tells
started
us
the
who
fire.
started the fire.
Responsibility still requires someone to carry water.
Jonathan looked at the contract, then at the directors who had spent the morning preparing to sell his company.
The evidence reveals who betrayed us.
Reed Continental,
Now you must
he said.
decide if
Now
this
we
board
decide
still
whether
has
this
the
board still
courage
has
to
the
save
courage
our
to save
legacy.
it. The secretary prepared the voting
We want our
documents.
jobs,
Outside,
we want our vote.
The workers waited for a decision that would
Secure
reach their
our
homes before
future
any official
now.
statement did. The board secretary distributes the voting documents, while Maya confirms that Northbridge's legal team remains connected. No one speaks until Walter rises from the observer
Before the
section
vote is
with the
called,
workers'
gentlemen,
petition in his hands.
please allow me
Before
just
you
5
vote,
minutes
I'm
to
asking
present
for
this
5
petition.
minutes. One director checks the clock. Mr.
If we delay
Gaines,
this decision, the company won't
may
make
miss
payroll.
if we delay much longer.
Do you understand
Walter
the consequences
places
of
the petition
that?
on the table.
5 minutes should be enough to
Then
remember
5
whose
minutes should be
payroll
enough
is
to
being
remember whose
discussed.
payroll
Please,
you're discussing.
have a seat.
Jonathan gestures toward the empty chair near Annie. Please sit. I've spent 35 years standing on factory floors.
35 years
I
on
can stand a
factory
little longer.
floors have
Walter
taught me
opens
to
the
remain
petition.
standing.
Some pages are typed, while others contain handwritten names gathered
More than
during night shifts and
4,000
church
workers
meetings.
and family
More than
members signed.
4,000 workers and family members.
The petitioners
signed
are not
this.
demanding
They
every
are not
position
asking
remain
you to promise
unchanged
that every
forever.
position
We
will
acknowledge
remain
market
unchanged
realities,
forever.
outdated
They
machinery,
understand
and contracts
markets.
that eventually
They
end.
understand that
We
equipment
want you to
becomes outdated
understand
and
that the
contracts
workers
end.
will not
What they do
accept
not
being
accept is being
sold through a plan that is built
on lies.
entirely
A
on
director near
lies.
Malcolm folds his
The investment
hands.
agreement still significantly
The Northbridge
reduces shareholder
agreement still
control.
reduces
Respectfully,
shareholder
accountability
control.
is precisely
Walter
what this
turns
ensures
toward
for the
him.
long-term
With respect,
viability of the
sir,
company.
the people
They
at
gave the
plant
strongest
this
years of
company
their
the
bodies
strongest
to
years
this
of their
company.
bodies. Some cannot
We
live to
must
harm without
ensure
pain.
these pension
Some plan
promises are
retirement
kept.
around pensions they were
Ownership
promised.
may come through
Ownership may come
shares,
through shares,
but responsibility comes
responsibility
from
comes through
protecting what people
have
trusted
you
the board
protect.
to preserve.
Malcolm rises.
The
This
board cannot decide
make
through
decisions
sentiment.
based on sentiment. Annie answers before
The investment
Walter
offer has passed
The
a
Northbridge
complete
offer passed a
professional
full
review.
investment review.
Worker protection
Worker
does not
protection
replace
does not
financial
replace
judgment, but it is
financial
part of the
judgment.
company's recovery value.
You are
company's
surrendering
recovery
authority
value.
because one
Malcolm
junior
faces
analyst
the
found
directors.
irregularities. The
You are
fund
being
seeks
asked to
temporary
surrender authority to
oversight
an
because the
outside
chief
fund because
financial
one
officer
junior
was
analyst found
removed during a
irregularities.
fraud investigation.
Margaret's voice comes through the screen.
What happens if
Northbridge is not asking
layoffs
for
become
permanent
necessary
control.
after the 2-year restriction?
We are requiring temporary
The board must
oversight
document
because the chief
operating
financial
reasons.
Any
officer has been
responsible lender
removed
would
during a
demand the
fraud
same
investigation.
protections.
What
Any
about after the
responsible
restriction
lender would
period?
demand the
Will there
same.
be layoffs?
Another
We are
director
currently
turns to Annie.
reviewing.
What
The
happens if
board
the
must
company
present
needs layoffs
documented
after the 2-year
operating reasons
restriction?
and
The
examine
board must
every
present the
realistic
operating
alternative
reasons,
before cutting
examine
jobs.
alternatives, and consult the worker representative.
Management
must consult the worker representative before acting. The agreement does not forbid necessary change, but
does the investment fund still expect a return?
The fund expects recovery because the company's core operations continue creating genuine value.
You are protecting jobs only while they remain profitable.
Anya holds his gaze. No investment can promise
No investment can honestly promise every job will exist forever. Responsible finance can stop a buyer from manufacturing a...
Workers must not be forced to pay for a scheme they did not create.
The secretary asks whether the board
Are the
is
directors ready to
Jonathan
vote?
looks down at the agreement. Accepting it means giving up powers he has held since founding Reed Continental. Northbridge will approve major borrowing.
Independent officers and new directors will be appointed without his personal selection. He realizes he may remain chairman, but can no longer control the company through his vote alone. Are you truly prepared to hand so much authority to outsiders?
Jonathan, you built this company. Are you prepared to hand that much
I built the
authority
company
to outsiders?
alongside
Jonathan
people who
closes the
drove
agreement.
trucks,
I built it with
repaired
people who drove
machines,
trucks,
and negotiated
repaired
contracts.
negotiated
Somewhere along the
contracts,
way,
and worked nights
I
when
began
orders were late.
speaking
Somewhere along
as though
the
the
way,
company
I
belonged
began
to me
speaking as though
alone.
the company was mine alone. It carries
The
your
company
name.
carries your
A
name,
name on a
Chairman.
building does
A
not
name
give
on
me
a
the right
building
to
does
protect
not
my
justify
pride at the
protecting
expense
my
of everyone
pride at the
else's
expense of
livelihood.
everyone's
He looks toward
livelihood.
Walter.
If saving the company
Reed
requires
Continental
limits on my
requires
authority,
limits on
those
my
limits are
authority,
overdue.
then those limits are overdue.
Roll call,
The
Mr.
secretary
Abernathy.
begins the roll call. The
Yes.
first two
Yes.
directors vote for the Northbridge plan. The next two
I must
support
abstain.
Malcolm's
We haven't
purchase
reviewed
offer.
this long
The
enough.
fifth director abstains, arguing that neither
The abstention
proposal has been
helps the
reviewed long
hostile
enough.
investor
Maya whispers
because the
to
rescue
Annie,
plan needs a
"An abstention
majority
helps
of the
Malcolm.
full board.
Northbridge needs a majority of the full board. The next vote goes to Malcolm. Then another
count
director
remains
supports
even.
Northbridge. The count
Miss
remains
Alcott,
even when
your
the
vote,
secretary
please.
reaches Eleanor Whitman, the oldest
Will
member
you
of the board.
guarantee in
She has said
writing
little
that the
throughout
Mississippi
meeting.
plant remains
Eleanor
open
removes
for
her
2
reading
years?
glasses. Mr. Voss.
No
do you
responsible
guarantee in
buyer
writing
would
that the
accept a
Mississippi plant
2-year
remains
plant
open for 2
guarantee
years?
before
Malcolm
completing a
answers,
full
"No
operational
responsible buyer
review."
would accept that restriction before
Will
a full
existing
operational
pensions be
review.
guaranteed?
Will you guarantee
Pensions will
the
be handled
existing
according to
pensions?
law and
They will be
restructuring
handled
needs.
according to
You have
applicable
not
law
answered the
and
question.
restructuring needs.
As I've said, the projections
That is
are
not an
subject to
answer.
market
It is
volatility,
the only
which is
honest
inherent.
answer.
What
Eleanor
specific
turns
guarantees
toward
does your
Annie.
fund offer, Miss?
And
We
Northbridge,
guarantee a
we
7%.
guarantee no
No mass
layoffs
layoffs at core plants for 2 years, protection of
funded
funded pension obligations, and a worker seat on the new Oversight Council.
The company must still
The company must meet
targets.
performance
But those
targets,
targets will
but
be
those
public to the
targets will
board
be public to the board and independently
Eleanor looks
reviewed.
toward Jonathan.
Will you cooperate
Will
with
you
an audit
cooperate
even
with
if it
an audit,
uncovers
even if
failures
it
beyond
finds
the removed
failures
financial
beyond Richard
officer?
Sloan?
Yes.
And will you
Yes.
step away from daily
Will you step away
management
from
during
daily
restructuring?
management during
Yes.
restructuring?
Do
Jonathan
you
takes a
accept
moment.
that saving the company
Yes.
may mean
Will
no
you
longer
accept that saving
controlling
the
it?
company
Yes.
may mean no longer controlling it? Yes. Eleanor marks her ballot. Northbridge. The final 2 votes follow. 1 supports Malcolm.
The
last
final count is
supports
in.
Northbridge. The secretary
The
counts
restructuring
twice.
proposal
The
passes
Northbridge
with a single
restructuring
vote
proposal
majority.
Passes by 1 vote. No one
Legal,
celebrates
we are moving
immediately.
forward with the capital
Maya
injection.
contacts the
Do
fund's
it.
legal team.
I am authorizing
Margaret
the release of the
authorizes
emergency
release of
funds under the
emergency
approved
capital
terms.
under the approved terms.
They approve the wire.
Northbridge begins
Hit the
purchasing
bid.
the critical debt
We just
before
secured the
Voss-linked
blocking
entities
position.
Can use it to force default. Malcolm closes his briefcase.
A company
This
will
company
regret choosing sentiment over discipline.
Jonathan
Discipline
answers,
without conscience
"Discipline
is merely
without conscience
obedience
is
to
only
profit."
obedience to profit. Malcolm walks
Mr.
toward the
Name,
door,
we
followed
require
by
you
his
to remain
attorneys.
available for
Investigators
questioning
waiting
regarding these
outside
debt
ask him to
purchases
remain
and the recorded
available for questioning
conversations.
concerning the debt
The
purchases
board
and
formally
recorded
moves to terminate the chief
conversations.
financial
The board
officer.
moves quickly
All in
through the
favor.
remaining
Aye.
resolutions.
Unanimous.
Richard is
And the
terminated
independent
as chief
forensic audit
financial
is
officer.
approved.
An independent forensic audit is approved. Jonathan steps down from daily executive management during the restructuring period and remains non-executive chairman.
It is my
Walter
distinct
receives
honor
the
to
first
formally
worker
appoint
seat
you
on
to the
new
Oversight Council.
Thank you,
An
Mr.
hour
Chairman.
later,
I accept.
The company issues a public statement confirming that payroll will be funded and the core plants will remain open under the Northbridge Agreement. At the Mississippi facility, employees gather beneath the large
The confirmation
clock
is
near the
secure,
main production
Mississippi.
floor.
Let the
Walter
shift
joins by
begin.
video from Atlanta. The shift supervisor receives confirmation from headquarters, reaches for the control beside the time board, and sounds the factory whistle. Its call carries across the parking lot, nearby roads, and houses where families have kept their phones within reach all morning. Some workers close their eyes, others remove their caps. One woman takes the hand of the man beside her. They are not celebrating a perfect future. They are hearing proof that tomorrow's shift still exists. In Atlanta,
This secures the
Annie
future for
watches the
everyone
live
at the
feed from
plant.
boardroom.
Thank you for your
Margaret stands
patience
beside
and
her image on the
dedication.
screen. You did good work.
You did good
Margaret
work.
says.
The company
We
still must
have
be
to rebuild
rebuilt.
the company.
This is
That
work
is why
rather
I
than
said
victory,
work, not
because
victory.
true winning begins
Winning is
after
what begins
excuses are
after
gone.
Excuses are gone. Jonathan returns to his office with Annie. Morning light reaches across the desk, touching the cream envelope in the cashier's check.
I cannot
sheet
accept
there.
it.
He picks it it up and
The investment came from the fund,
I cannot accept this.
but this repayment
Annie
is
does not take
separate.
it. The investment came from
You just helped
Northbridge.
save my company.
I kept 2 promises.
You just helped save my
to repay you, and to use what I learned for something larger than myself.
One promise concerned repayment, and the other required using her education beyond herself.
I paid tuition while you protected thousands of families.
Tuition and the protection of thousands of families cannot be equal accounts.
They were never supposed to be equal.
Why do you still insist on repayment?
The promise shaped how I lived for 4 years. Keeping it matters.
What should I do with money I
no longer believe you owe him?
The church tables, and the people
Use this money for someone who still needs a door opened.
Jonathan looks toward Grace's photograph. For the first time since Annie returned, the future before him is not measured by what he may lose. It is measured by what the 2 of them can choose to pass forward.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to book the community center for next week to discuss the board's decision.
He invited Annie,
please ensure the press is notified.
Welcome to New Hope, Annie. We are so glad you could make it this morning.
Thank you, Pastor. It's beautiful here.
Where Annie had signed the tuition agreement 4 years earlier. The room had not changed much. The coffee still came from a large metal urn. The folding chairs still scraped against the tile floor, and someone had left a plate of biscuits beside a pitcher of sweet tea. Jonathan placed the cashier's check in the center of the table.
Annie inspired the idea, but neither of them should control what grows from it alone.
Margaret opened a draft proposal.
As you can see on page 5, this new financial structure ensures the independent board has the resources to govern effectively.
The requirements specify annual audits and transparent public selection standards. Let's review this dignity protection clause. We cannot photograph recipients without their explicit consent.
And we certainly must not force them to relive their most painful experiences. Eligibility can be verified without turning human pain into entertainment.
The discussion took
think we finally have it.
The new program would be called the Annie Brooks Promise
the language
Fund.
Here works.
It would support
Agreed, this
students from
secures
rural
the
towns
future
and
of the
working families
fund.
who had the
We
ability
must
to
ensure
attend
these
college,
rural communities
but
are
lacked access to
prioritized.
The
traditional
folders are ready
loans.
for
The
distribution,
fund would
Walter.
provide tuition,
This is truly
paid
going to change
internships,
lives for so many
financial
students.
counseling, and emergency
This
assistance
expands
when
the
a single
proposal
unexpected
beyond
bill
tuition.
threatened to end a
We now
semester.
include paid
Jonathan contributed
internships,
additional money,
financial
but he
counseling, and
accepted the
practical
same
student
voting power
support
as the other
portions.
board members.
As you can
Annie
see in the
noticed
ledger,
clause
the
while
amount
reviewing the
requested
documents.
exceeds our
You could have
current
created
liquid
this by
assets for the
yourself,
semester.
she said.
This
I could have
contribution
paid for it by
resolves the...
myself, Jonathan replied.
Why
That is
did you
the
not
same as
simply
building it
create the fund
responsibly.
alone?
Margaret looked over her glasses.
Well, Annie, that was
He's
never the
learning.
point.
Jonathan smiled.
Paying for the fund alone
Considerable
would not mean
expense.
building it
No, Evelyn said.
responsibly.
Well,
Some
it seems
lessons
you
are
are
expensive.
learning.
This one was nearly
Yes,
fatal.
though the
No
cost
one
is
argued with her.
considerable.
The
At least we
reconstruction
won't
of
forget the
Reed
considerable
Continental
cost of
continued
this
for the following
lesson.
year.
Some lessons are
Independent auditors
expensive,
uncovered
Jonathan.
more altered contracts
And this one
hidden
was nearly
payments.
fatal.
Richard Sloan faced charges connected to fraud, unauthorized access, and falsified records. Malcolm Voss and several associates became subjects of a wider investigation into debt manipulation and insider information. Jonathan cooperated with every review, including those that questioned his own lack of
The
oversight.
responsibility for the lack of
He did
supervision
not
ultimately
return to
falls on
daily
me.
executive control.
Reviewing these reports, it's
Instead,
clear that debt
he worked with
manipulation
the
was
new board,
sophisticated, but that is
visited
no
the factories,
excuse.
and listened during meetings where he once would have spoken
I want to
first.
ensure that
Walter
every
served on the
financial
Oversight
decision
Council
is
and
explained
insisted
in
that financial
ordinary
decisions
language.
be explained in ordinary language before votes
We need
were
to
taken.
translate these
People should not
complex
need a
debt
law
and
degree to
payroll
understand
effects
how a
into
decision will
language
change
every
their
worker
paycheck,
can
he
understand
told the
before we
directors.
take any vote.
The Mississippi plant remained
Workers
open.
should not
It did
need
not
legal
escape every
training
cut,
to understand
but
the
changes were
decisions
made through
affecting their
retirement
paychecks.
incentives,
It's
retraining,
that simple.
and reduced executive spending before
Let me be
hourly
clear.
positions
We are
were
implementing these
considered.
changes, including
Workers
significant
received
cuts to
regular
executive
updates
spending
instead of learning
before we
about
consider
decisions
any
through
changes to
rumors.
hourly positions.
1
Your
year
hard
after
work
the
is
vote,
valued.
Welcome to the
Rosewood
Rosewood
opened a
Education
and
Center,
workforce
Mr. Reed.
center near the edge of
It's
town.
truly
The building
remarkable,
stood on
Annie.
land
A
donated by
testament to what
retired
we can
farmer
achieve
and
together.
renovated by Reed
It's in good
Continental
hands now.
employees who volunteered
Thank you.
on weekends. The
All
center
right, team.
carried the
We need
names
that
of
paint
Grace,
finished by
Reed,
sundown.
and Annie's late father. It offered college
All
preparation,
right, everyone,
adult
welcome. The finance
classes,
workshop is this way,
job training,
and job training
and guidance
starts
for
right through
families
those
dealing with
doors.
high-interest loans. Jonathan arrived in
Ms.
a
Brooks,
Chevrolet
it's an
SUV
honor to
without
finally meet you.
reporters or a
I brought the
formal
first
escort.
box of Elizabeth's collection.
He carried
Thank you
a
so
box
much,
of books
Mr.
from
Reed. We are
Grace's
deeply
home
grateful.
office.
Please come
Evelyn met
inside.
him near the
Mr.
entrance.
Reed,
Good
we
morning,
appreciate
Mr.
you
Reed.
coming.
Of
Good
course,
morning,
Miss
Mrs.
Brooks.
She
Please
looked
call
at him
me
for a
Evelyn.
moment.
Thank you.
After everything we've been through, you can call
I'll
me
agree,
Evelyn.
but only if you use my
Jonathan
first
smiled.
name.
I'll consider it.
Only if you call me Jonathan.
Just type your
I'll
name right here,
consider it.
sir.
Micah, now 15, helped visitors.
We sure had some times in that old factory, didn't we, Walter?
We certainly did.
Near the coffee table.
I don't miss the early mornings, but I miss you all.
His faded red collar still around his neck. Inside the lobby, Annie's tuition check had been framed beside the North Bridge Agreement. The display did not describe
Welcome to the center. We're so glad you could make it. Thank you so much, Annie. He's really looking forward to it.
One promise kept it open.
The macaroni looks amazing today.
It sure does. Here's your cornbread. Enjoy your meal.
Fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, green beans.
We are so proud of what this fellowship has achieved in the community.
Hi there. Are you here for the scholarship intake? Hi, Annie. My name is Renee Taylor. I got into the college, but the financial aid package isn't enough. Okay, Renee, let's take a look at your folder. Did you bring your records?
Miss Brooks?
I brought everything I have.
Yes? My name is Renee Taylor. I was accepted to college, but my aid package
What do you
isn't
plan
enough.
to study?
Annie set down the papers.
Nursing.
Have you brought your records?
Nursing.
Renee opened the
Why
folder.
did you choose that
Everything
field?
I have. What are you planning
My
to study?
grandmother travels
Nursing.
nearly an hour
Why
for
nursing?
regular medical
My
appointments,
grandmother has
and
to
the county
travel
needs
almost an hour
nurses
for
who
regular
understand local
appointments.
families, not only
Our county
charts.
needs more people who
I am
understand
not
the
asking
community,
for grocery
not
money.
just the medical chart. Jonathan
I
stood
need a
several
genuine
feet away,
chance to
listening.
attend
Renee
college.
continued. I'm not asking
Please
for
have a
grocery
seat,
money.
Renee. Let's look at these numbers
I
together.
need a chance to
Okay,
attend
thank you.
college. The words carried an echo from the red dirt road, but Annie did not answer with a
We
check.
will review the numbers.
She pulled out a chair. Sit down, she said. Let's review
What
the
promise
numbers.
would I have to
Renee
make in
hesitated.
return?
What would I have to promise? Annie remembered the 4 years she had spent recording every dollar, every grade, and every lesson. She remembered how easily gratitude could
You owe
become
no
a burden
personal
if
promise.
Jonathan had demanded
I ask
obedience
only
in
that,
return.
if the fund
don't owe
opens
me
a
a
door,
promise,
you remember
Annie said.
someone
But
else
if
who
this
may be
fund
waiting
opens a door
behind
for
it.
you,
As you can
remember the
see,
person
all the
who may be
hours are
waiting
accounted
behind
for
it.
here.
Renee
Right.
sat across from
And
her
this
and
figure
opened the
here, the
folder.
$7,000 for the
Outside,
fall
the late
semester,
afternoon
that
light
includes the
reached
book
across the
allowance.
road leading
The
into
cashier's
Rosewood.
check covers the
center's
tuition.
front
Miss
door
Brooks,
remained
this is
open as
highly
families
irregular.
entered for
The evidence
evening
is
classes.
clear, gentlemen.
4 years
The Shell
earlier,
Corporation's
Jonathan
activity is
Reed had
fully
paid the cost
documented.
of one
Head on
university
home
education.
now. We'll
And
see
in
y'all
return,
rested up
money
tomorrow.
helped save his company and expose the people who believed loyalty could be purchased and hardship could be turned
Your
into
academic
profit.
record here
Yet
is
the greater
outstanding,
repayment was
Renee.
not written on
You've
the
clearly
cashier's
put in the
check.
work.
It
Thank
lived
you,
in the
Miss
factory
Brooks. I
whistle
appreciate
that still
that.
marked each shift, in the workers whose
This plan
pensions
makes the
remained
opportunity
protected,
possible,
and in the
Renee.
quiet confidence of a
We'll
young
map
woman
out the
sitting at a
scholarship
table where
deadlines
someone
together
was
right here
finally
on the
willing to
calendar.
examine her work. Annie had kept her promise. Then she had made certain the promise did not end with her. This story reminds us that true kindness is not about making someone dependent or expecting
That's exactly
lifelong
right, Renee.
gratitude.
Can you walk us through how you
It
calculated
is
the
about giving
amortization
a
schedule?
person
Well,
the
if you factor in the
opportunity to
principal
build a better
repayment
future through
first, the
their
interest
own
comes
effort.
down significantly
Annie
by the
proves
third
that
period.
dignity,
The Q3
education,
projections are
and
overly
hard work can
optimistic given the
overcome
recent
poverty,
production issues.
prejudice,
I agree. How do we ensure
humiliation.
accountability moving
Jonathan
forward,
learns
Margaret?
that loyalty
Let's
must
review
be
the revised
questioned when
targets.
truth is at risk,
Thank you for opening
and
up
that real
early.
leadership means accepting responsibility.
We appreciate the opportunity,
even when it
Annie.
costs power and pride.
We are so
Most
happy to have
importantly,
you all
the
here.
story shows
This
that one
fictional
open door
story
can
was
change
created
many
with the
lives.
assistance
When
of
the person who
artificial
walks through it
intelligence,
chooses to
presenting
hold it open for
constructed
others.
storytelling
This video
rather
is
than
a work of
documentary
fiction
reality.
created with the assistance of artificial intelligence. All characters, events, and situations are not real and do not represent any actual people or true stories. The content is intended for storytelling and emotional illustration only.